We are live. Welcome everyone. Welcome to my channel. Today we are tie ranking all Realm of Elderlings books. I have these four right now. Four. There will be five wonderful people joined who finished Realm of Elderlings recently. I mean, Evie finished last year, and you couple of years
Oh,
back.
Andrew didn't.
Anyway, since Andrew, Ben, and Grace are first time on my channel, I let them himself introduce themselves to you all. So go ahead.
who wants to go first?
I'll go first. Why not? I mean, I
How
read.
rude.
I know. Well, middle one first is typically how it goes. And I don't put out many videos anymore. However, this is my favorite series, and I am ready to throw hands, as it were.
Am I next, I guess?
Ladies first.
Okay, so my channel name is the same as my screen name right now. It's Grace Dion, and I mean I'm pretty much a fantasy channel, and this is also probably my favorite series. What a journey! So I'm ready to cry, probably more likely than fight, but I'm ready to do something. I'll defend the books.
And this is the series that brought you two together. So
It is.
Ooh.
Assassin's Apprentice is the first book that we read together, and then we proceeded to talk about like a lot of other things, and not the book. Well, we did talk about the book, but
You cheated on the book.
oh, Greg says we must fight. So that's I'll
I haven't spoken to Greg in forever. What's up, Gregory?
A quick shout out to Greg. He's the reason actually, this read along I started and completed. In his Discord, he gave me, opportunity. I don't know, to start this read along. I met so many good people in his Discord. I mean, I'm sad that he was in slump and he discontinued this series. But thank you, Greg, for everything.
screw you, Greg, for dropping off. That's what I'll say.
That's why we're starting this stream. Screw you, Greg. I missed you.
the duality of man.
I guess I'll go next. I'm Andrew of the Wizardly Reads. This is actually one of the first series I started reading pre-BookTube channel. So I finished this about a year and a half ago, question mark. It's been a while, and I firmly believe I have the correct opinions on this series.
We will see.
I'm already tweaking out.
That's all the sugar you've ingested.
Yeah.
Pete, unmute yourself.
Sure. Let's hopefully this doesn't go badly. It's fine. No buzzing or anything. Anyways,
Oh, you're good now. You're good.
Speak
You're good.
louder. Speak louder.
it's probably only when I'm talking, isn't it?
No. It's just you were very quiet for a second.
Okay, fine. I'm paranoid. It's good. Hi, I'm Ponderings of Pete. I have a channel that I occasionally post to, but most of the time I just show up on other people's streams because that's the easiest thing to do. Yeah, I am trying to get back and actually make videos if I can get out of doing other things and actually be productive. But yeah, I like this series. This series is great. I say it would. Yeah, probably this series ranks in probably one of my top series of all time. But yeah, this will be interesting. I don't know how to rank things.
That's
Because
why
you don't do ratings, Pete.
Yeah, because star ratings are inherently flawed.
it's true.
It's true. I have no idea how I'm going to come out at this. I know my bottom 7 books. That's it.
Anyways, this is going to sound really, really narcissistic, but if y'all know Anita, y'all should know me because we are the same person. So,
You don't
Yeah,
sound
Evie doesn't
anything
need
alike.
introduction on my channel. Okay, quick warning, there will be spoilers. We'll be discussing spoilers of all books, but we will go in the order of books from first book. So if you read only half or first trilogy, you can stay until we finish ranking of the trilogy.
Are we doing publication? Because I hope you remembered to include Willful Princess and the Piebald Prince.
I
haven't read
included that, but that will be before Tawny Man in the order of how we read actually.
Order of how you guys read.
Wait, where
How-
is Willful Princess in publication order?
I
It
think at the
came
end
out-
of all.
It came out in the same year that Dragon Keeper came out, I think.
It's also the only one I haven't read.
Oh,
Oh,
good.
well, Andrew,
What? It wasn't necessary.
you're out. Yeah,
Already
you
hated the last
can't be
one.
And what about the short story within the Book of Swords? Where does that rank?
Well, I
but
guess I'm out. So,
apparently Andrew told Ricky that this is 100% flawless, so we should applaud him.
Oh, I haven't read the
Everything
entire-
I say is 100% flawless. That's how that says.
I completely misunderstood this. Okay, let's go ahead and start. Is this ranking? Hey, that is a good idea of
That was
ranking.
good.
I
actually.
think it would be the same either way. So,
Yeah.
Yeah. All will be like top tier. I do agree with this. Okay, let's go ahead and I'll share my screen. Where are you?
I need to turn off
It's a
number
really
blocks
good
in the background.
So sorry.
Wait, I can't find where I did.
We're off to a great start. Let's go.
Present.
What are we doing
The
again?
present button, Anitha.
Okay, can you see my screen?
I mean, we can that have.
Oh,
Now
yeah.
you can.
Wow.
Because I added it to the.
Okay, since
Oh,
let me
wow,
explain how.
Oh, we're doing it this way. Interesting.
Oh,
Okay,
very
let me explain how this works. Instead of ranking the books, because that will be like we are 6 people and we will not agree, to place each book in one tier as a common opinion. That's never going to happen. So we'll have we'll rank every book in our own way, but like we'll place in the order. Left will be our most favorite, and next in the order of like if next book is like our least one, we'll place right. If we like it the best, then we'll place towards the left. Everyone understands that? Agree with that?
That's fair.
Yes, because every book would be an S tier for me, except for a particular book, and I will not name that book currently.
You know, Evie, you're always like number 1 in my thumbnails or ranking anywhere. I consider putting you on top, but I cannot accept your ranking, so I pushed Andrew to the top.
Why don't you put yourself on top? But you
She put herself
your
on the
channel.
bottom because
I,
I mean,
I didn't
I
know
got-
anything about this before we started.
I'm
so.
above 10. That's all that matters.
I thought it will be narcissistic, to put myself on top. So I. Okay, books are in the order of, we are going to rank. I added manually
Oh.
by taking a long time.
God bless you. So
let's do this.
That's more effort than I
Okay.
put into my entire channel.
I'm going, since it's the first book, we have nothing to talk about. You can still talk about. Go ahead. Meanwhile, I'll be doing this. How did you like Assassin's Apprentice?
Since again, everyone, this is spoilers for the entire series. I'm still traumatized by Nosy, and I've read Farseer twice, and throughout the, obviously throughout the entire series, I'm still traumatized by Nosy.
I'm not,
So
but
Especially the photos in like the illustrated edition, like that makes it even more just like I think it's the final photo of the illustrated edition that has Nosy's second death.
Oh my god.
Wait, there's an illustration of it? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me
Oh
think.
my god.
That's the most
well,
depraved
it's
thing
not
I've
of
ever
him
heard.
being murdered. It's of him dying.
It's
Oh.
up
He's being held as he like dies.
Oh, okay. That's an emotional moment. I was picturing like Dear God.
Birch.
Okay.
No,
Throwing
it's
him
like
in the
as he's
river.
passing away.
No, yeah, it's definitely like
I like Assassin's Apprentice just fine.
Mhm.
It's not the best
Oh.
of that trilogy, but I mean, of that trilogy, I'd probably say it's probably my third favorite of the Farseer.
it's on
I
the
really
bottom.
like Assassin's Apprentice. I think it's my second favorite of the trilogy. But I just love the feeling of it. Like, and I feel like reading the whole series, like the start of each of those trilogies gives me that same feeling. Like, even though I didn't know it at the time because it was the first book, it gives me that like sinking into the world feeling. And I just love following Fitz. So
Yeah, I think rereading Assassin's Apprentice will move it way up my list. It's
I
gonna
think
be-
so too, honestly.
Yeah.
Mainly because I gave Assassin's Quest 5 stars, but I think the length of that book would annoy me now. I think the length would annoy me a little bit more now. So, but I haven't reread, so we're going off of my initial thoughts.
Mhm.
Shad, you live so close to me. I'll come and kick you. You know, 5 stars. 5 stars.
Starting off early with the
Assassin's favorite. Actually, I while reading it, I had a lot of nostalgia with what I read as a child in my first language. With all that, ships, this magic system, very intriguing magic system, and the idea of well, especially the castle on the beach. The atmosphere of it reminded me of the short stories I read, so I had a lot of nostalgia, and I loved it. Actually, it is, even after the end of 17 books, it was still my favorite.
wow.
I mean, once that nostalgia kicks in, I don't think anything can beat it.
It's a powerful feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
hell of a drug.
Okay, let's start
Nostalgia's one
with,
hell of a drug.
okay, let's start our unpopular opinions. And you, Royal Assassin, where do you want to
right.
place this?
That's my favorite book in all of the Realm of the Elderlings, so it's gonna go in front
First?
of Assassin's Apprentice. Yep, that's first. Royal Assassin's
Seriously?
first.
Okay.
Oh yeah, perfection.
It is great.
Yeah.
Evie?
There's nothing wrong with Royal Assassin.
So
I know where to put it. You go ahead.
excuse me, but also
Sorry.
yes. Um, but no, that's right. So I will say, Royal Assassin felt like such a middle book to me, and I knew that everyone loved Royal Assassin. It's like, oh, it's the best book of the trilogy, and I read it. I'm like, really? And it was actually my least favorite of the trilogy. And it still is my least favorite of the trilogy, but it's still 5 stars. So
You could not be more wrong.
this is why it's a tier ranking, and this is why reading is subjective, Andrew.
It's a
You're
tier
just
ranking
wrong.
because of the tier.
Oh, I thought Evie will bring out the big guns, but right now Andrew is doing that. Anyway. Okay. Who is next? Pete.
I think Royal Assassin hit better for me than Assassin's Apprentice, so I'll put Royal Assassin above Assassin's Apprentice.
Wrong opinion, Pete, but that's all right. I'll
That's the
save
whole
my
point
guns
of
for
this
later
ranking,
books.
Lisa.
Wrong opinion.
Look, I think that a lot of this is partially because when I first started reading this series, I was in college and I stopped after Royal Assassin somehow. I don't know how, but just blame school. And then I came back to it, and when we did this read along, was when I read everything through and got to Assassin's Quest. So that ending for Royal Assassin really stuck with me, and I still think that the lead up to it is, really solid with Regal. So
Grace?
Yeah, I'm with Andrew and Pete. Royal Assassin is my favorite of the first trilogy, although I think that Assassin's Apprentice and Royal Assassin might be closer for me than for a lot of people. I don't know, but I just loved, like, I agree. I loved everything about Royal Assassin. Like, felt like Assassin's Apprentice was like just leading up to and building the tension, and then Royal Assassin, like, it hit the ground running, and like I just loved the whole thing. And then Pete, I agree with you that the ending of that book like is still something that hits hard even after having read all the rest of it. So yeah, love Royal Assassin.
Yep.
Ben,
I'm
prove me
Yep.
that you are two different people, not the same. Prove me.
Well, that'll come later.
Okay, good. Good to know. Go ahead, Ben.
I'm also putting Royal Assassin top. It is my favorite of the trilogy. It just goes hard. Like after the first one, I remember we took a massive break. I think like a 6-month break between the first and second book. And
Yeah.
when we went back, I was kind of like, we'll read the next one. And then it just was so good. And yeah, Royal Assassin. I know people don't like Molly. I'm not one of those people. I think the whole scenario is fun, especially within the
Molly
context.
is amazing.
Yeah, exactly. Like I think she's a great character. I think everything in that book is superb. Like it's what I wanted from like when people describe the series. When I read that book, I was like, oh, this is what I wanted when I got into it. So I love it.
Okay, I just want to add a couple of points. Not a full spoiler for the final trilogy, just a mild spoiler for final trilogy. After reading final trilogy, people say that, oh, they like Molly then, but I loved Molly right from the Farseer trilogy. I get so pissed when people say that they don't like Molly. You know, she
People are
whatever
allowed to be
she
wrong, right? Evie?
We live in free countries, multiple.
Yeah.
are you
I mean,
not in my
debatable.
country? Okay, Assassin's Apprentice is my favorite. Obviously, Royal Assassin uh, is 4.5 stars for me. I understand in terms of plot, and in terms of political intrigue, court politics, it actually kickstarted everything. What happened next? But I did there was kind of some repetition, in Royal Assassin. She explained the same things. Some of the things she already told us in Assassin's Apprentice. I don't like repetition, so there are like couple of places where I got uh,
So
frustrated. I'm sorry.
counter argument. Sorry, is I think Robin Hobb reminds you of information that you need in subsequent books in a really like the way it should be. It's not like ham-fisted in. It's not info dumpy. So I mean, because let's be honest, like these books were not really meant to be binge read. As they were coming out, it's multiple years, maybe a year between, 2 years between, whatever. So I feel like in the age of the internet, like, and social media, binging stuff has become more like the norm. But I like when new books came out, when I was a kid, like I wouldn't reread the previous books in a series. I would just immediately well, screw
Same.
you, Pete.
Like Aragon, Percy
Screw you,
Jackson,
Pete.
I'm
absolutely.
sure you can just talk for yourself at this point.
Okay, whatever. Anyway, I'm trying to say that Anitha is wrong. That I
just
like
want
the
to-
way she's being repetitive. She's just
Okay.
reminding us of plot points.
I just want to say that after reading Royal Assassin, I mentally prepared myself for her writing and her reminding us of some stuff. So that problem did not bother me in next books. So I changed my thinking. I can learn.
Growth.
Thank you for
Yeah.
appeasing me, Anitha.
Oh my god, Assassin's Quest.
Yes.
No, I cannot take this from Andrew. We are skipping past Andrew. Just rank this one here. Just joking. Go ahead, Andrew.
No, Assassin's Quest goes before. It's my second favorite. of
Oh,
that trilogy.
really? I expected. Oh, it's not you. It was Kyle actually who trashes Assassin's Creed. Go ahead. Okay, go ahead.
Kyle's wrong. Yeah. So it goes right before Royal Assassin. Have you already made that change? Yeah, you have. Sorry, it's kind of small. I need to zoom in. Let's go full screen. Anyway, but I love this story. I love the journey that he goes on with Night Eyes. I love the struggles that they experience in their relationship here. It's really well done. I also love the struggling that Fitz does to kind of regain his humanity, and I thoroughly enjoy just everything that we experience in this story. I mean, the ending's a bit bittersweet, but it's still at the same time like he's a dumb kid, and it kind of makes a little bit of sense. And there's something that Fitz does at the end of this book that informs his actions in Tawny Man that I thought was pretty cool. Well, where he gives up a piece of his memories and it alters his personality throughout the series.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like all that. Although it does cause issues to where I then run into further issues in Fitz and the Fool.
Okay.
So a lot of my problems with Fitz and the Fool stem from this first trilogy.
It's all
Okay.
interconnected.
Okay, we'll talk about it. Evie, I know where to put it again, but go ahead.
Well, can you stop assuming, Anita?
Anita, why don't you just put out all of Evie's ranking now? Because we know.
Yeah, true. And I can tell you if it's right or not. That'd be great. But no, I was gonna say, if we're doing it based on first time read, it would be Assassin's Apprentice, Assassin's Quest, Royal Assassin. But on reread, like, I love Assassin's Quest so much that it barely edges out Assassin's Apprentice for me.
Okay.
Pete.
I am also an Assassin's Quest first person.
Yes.
Let me just change this because let me actually just like make sure my favorite character is represented. This is the first book where we get full on mature Night Eyes, and that's really that's one of the reasons why this book is my favorite of the first trilogy. Like,
also,
Night
Small
Eyes,
Ferret. I mean, come on.
Small Ferret is great, but Night Eyes is iconic. All right. Night Eyes just makes so much better. Like I feel like Fitz is a better character with Night Eyes around, even in the latter series when we get the whole Night Eyes as Fitz's conscious. Night Eyes is just like, dude, chill. And then how Night Eyes changes Fitz are just some of my favorite dynamics in the series. So yeah. Also, Royal getting his comeuppance was great, and then dragons.
But he turned over a new leaf at the end of the story. I mean, he was forced to.
Did they rip out his memory or something?
It through the skill, fully changed his personality.
Yeah, they imposed thoughts on him, right? Like, oh, you have to think this and be nice, and then jog on.
Yeah, if there were Farseer or Realm of the Elderlings Geneva Conventions, he would be a war crime.
Yeah.
Well, I really wasn't expecting to be semi-controversial, but Assassin's Quest is my least favorite of the first trilogy. But I think I gave it 4.5 stars. I think at the time we read it, I remember thinking that the general feeling about Assassin's Quest was much more negative because of how long it was and because of some of that journeying, and people felt like it dragged on. I personally never really felt like that. I really enjoyed the whole book, and I completely agree with what you guys are saying about Night Eyes as well, because Night Eyes is absolutely incredible. Favorite up there obviously of the entire series, but I do remember being somewhat frustrated with Fitz and Starling at points. If I'm thinking back, that is one of the so-called negatives that jumps out at me. But I also,
you mean Fitz walks into a room and a woman takes off her dress?
Pardon?
You mean Fitz walks into a room and a woman drops her dress? Type of deal?
Yeah, that was a little bit I don't know. It's funny because I've never had this problem with Hobb before or since, but the way she wrote Starling in that book in particular was one of those Robin Hobb is a woman. How is this happening moments? Like, how is she writing Starling like this? But it was a very transient, small issue. But, like, I don't know. I think overall, just like Assassin's Quest had a little bit more problems I could point to than the other two, but it's still really solid for me. And I loved the ending that we got after the buildup of the whole first trilogy and like those reveals. So
Yeah.
I accept that criticism. I accept that criticism. You're saying.
Well, no, I was just gonna say that I actually like Starling from the beginning. I guess before we get to Ben's controversial opinions, maybe question mark.
Okay, we'll give Ben the chance to talk about this. Okay,
yeah,
go ahead, Evie.
Oh no, I was just gonna say that I loved the Fool in Farseer, so yes. I'll just leave it at that. So.
Oh, we forgot about one. We haven't talked about one of the grossest moments in the entire series.
This one?
Yeah, Ben, go ahead. Start it.
Yeah.
I'm putting Assassin's Quest directly in the middle. I'm following Andrew. I feel a lot of love there, which is going to be really sad when we get to later entries and we have to depart so painfully. But this is the first, for me, this is the first one where Robin Hobb, you get the idea of like, this is the plot. Let's mince over here for a while and have a little sojourn over here. We're going to do everything but what needs to be done. And then all of a sudden, the plot's here again. Where did it come from? And I love that. Like, I feel like at the time, I think I gave it 4 stars at the time because my brain was just like, what's going on? We're all over the place. But I think it's another one, same as Assassin's Apprentice. I think it would go up a lot in my estimations based on reading further in the series. And then when I reread it, I think I'll appreciate it a lot more. But yeah, that Assassin's Quest is the definition to me of vibes. Like, there's no, you just read it and you're like, I don't know what's going to happen because I'm just vibing. Like, I don't know what's going on. And I love it.
It's fair.
My argument for anyone and everyone that says like, oh, it's too slow, nothing happens. It's a quest. It says quest for a reason. Quest is not just action, action, action. It's quest, action, nothing happens, something happens, nothing happens.
So, Evie, it's funny that you say that because I really like quest fantasy in this way. And a lot of the time, if there is a quest fantasy where too much happens all the time on the quest, I'm like, we're not even questing. We're not getting to quest. So, yeah.
Cooking with a campfire.
Okay, Assassin's Quest, it's always tough for me to rank. Sorry, Pete, if I interrupted you. I'll give you a chance to talk after this. I mean, I loved Assassin's Quest almost as much as Assassin's Apprentice. But after reading 17 books, I decided Assassin's Quest is after Assassin's Apprentice, at least for today. I agree with what Grace said about her criticism. I mean, I did not hate Starling actually as much as others hated, but there are moments I got frustrated, especially when we add other women along the road who made pass at Fizz. So adding all them, yes, there are moments I was like, why should every woman do this? Why does every woman act like this? You know, there is in Wheel of Time, there is this trope where that they are like a Teverin, like chosen one, so they has this kind of pull. So most of the women are attracted to Rand, but that concept is not there in Fizz. There is no explanation why every woman was attracted to Fizz. So there were frustrating moments, but at the same time, Night Eye's character development, Night Eye's and Fizz bond. This is the book where we got more details about Fizz taking over, taking some of the wolf qualities, and Night Eyes taking some of the human qualities. That I loved their bond and that growth. Night Eyes is amazing in this book. Also, to answer Chadia's, to address Chadia's comment here, yes, when initially I was like, what the hell is happening? It definitely felt weird, but you know, this is one of the moments, you know, always some books actually push our limits. We learn things about ourselves. We accept things we thought we would never accept. This is one of those moments for me. I
Banging your
understand why
arms
it
is one
has
of
to
those
happen.
moments where you learn something about yourself.
Not about myself.
I'm just saying that's
Accepting
exactly
it.
what happens. Please clarify.
Okay, go ahead, Andrew. You
No.
have thoughts on this.
No, like, I mean, frankly, Fitz gives up his body to his uncle to go sleep with his wife.
We've all been.
What's to learn about yourself from that?
I would never do that because that's weird.
Well, yes. And then later in the series, we have to bring it up again because she always knew. Gross.
Yeah.
See,
Sorry,
Did
the
I make it
silence
weird?
sounds beautiful.
Ketrikan's name is sacrifice. She made that sacrifice to do her duty as Farseer princess, Farseer queen, because she has to provide heir to the throne. Otherwise, bad things will happen. And Verity knows that. Ketrika knows that. Yes, it was weird, but I
I'll
understand
hold
why
my gorge till
she
after
did
the
that.
live stream.
What?
I think
What?
that's one of those things where when you state it like that, it sounds like pretty disgusting, and it objectively is very weird. But I think that in the context of what happens, like, it's
I
much
know the
easier to
context.
understand. Like, it's easier to understand how that situation came about, even though it is objectively like very weird. But I've always loved Fitz and Ketrikan's relationship, even despite that. Like, they and the thing is, well, actually, no, this is a spoiler for the whole series. I'll say it later. It's about Ketrikan.
I don't know. I would have preferred Ketrikan and Fitz to end up together. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying in this moment, that's messed up.
Are you
It's
telling me that
magic,
Robin Hood
Andrew.
was messed up? What's going on?
There's been nothing negative in this series. All the characters are happy all the time.
Nothing has gone morally awry at all.
Okay. Shall we move on to live ships? Any final thoughts on Farseer?
I'm gonna get in so
Okay.
much trouble with live ship.
Oh, are we
Okay,
going to
and
have
you-
a fight over live ship?
Yeah.
Real?
Go ahead and put Ship of Magic behind Assassin's Apprentice for now.
Oh.
My problem with this trilogy is each book was way longer than it had to be. Way longer.
But
I mean, Magic, nothing happens in Magic until page 450.
Yeah, and isn't it great?
No!
Fantastic.
Yet you love Royal Assassin so much, Andrew. Nothing happens in that book.
Royal Assassin is much shorter than any of these. It's like 700 pages.
Like shorter, right? So 150.
And a ton of there's battles and everything that happens in Royal Assassin. There's the whole torture scene at the end. I don't know. Shit, I like Live Ship is my second favorite trilogy.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
But we can see where this is going then.
Yeah. We're on a trajectory.
Evie, poor Ben and Grace. I think I'm going to break their hearts.
Are you going to tell me where my ranking is, and I'll tell you if you're wrong or not?
No, it's okay. Go ahead.
Okay, all right. Can you put it behind Assassin's Apprentice, please?
I know. Go ahead. You don't have to wait until I put this in order.
Oh no, I mean, it's so I'm gonna have the same commentary on all of the books of this trilogy, in that as much as I love each individual book, which I'm very excited to reread Madship because I don't remember, it all melds together, this trilogy, because it feels like one giant book that was just split. Because I genuinely don't remember where Madship started and where it ended, because I just remember the whole of it. So yeah, I mean that's basically it. It's gonna be. Yeah, I don't know. I got nothing else.
I also
Shut up,
forgot to mention
Andrew.
I
Stop
don't like the
making fun of me.
serpents.
You
I
don't like the serpents?
No. So
Come
this
on.
introduces the serpents.
The
And
serpents were great.
no, I'm
It's-
gonna
So
I'm gonna
this
come out
is
with my
why
hot
he
takes right
doesn't
now.
like Rain Wilds.
Worst dragons in fantasy. That's where Rain Wilds is gonna end up. Worst
You're
dragons
the
in all
worst
of
person
fantasy.
ever.
Wait
Wrong.
until Rain Wilds.
Wrong.
Wait.
Worst dragons ever.
Ah.
I saw Robin Hobb describe her own dragons as
Pain in
having
the ass.
acid reflux, which now that she said that, I can't imagine it any other way, and it's amazing.
You said acid reflux?
Yeah. Like that's how the imagery is like acid reflux, like having to
Oh, the spraying or whatever.
it's funny.
Yeah, that is funny.
That's hilarious. So,
Look at Pete.
I'm gonna be less stressful. I'm gonna put Ship of Magic in front of Assassin's Quest.
Oh, a man of
Yeah.
reason.
Like Evie, Ship of Magic and Mad Ship are kind of like they blend together a lot for me because of how the everything flows. But I really, really love the character dynamics between. Oh, I remember where Ship of Magic ended. That's right, with the brand on poor his face. I'm terrible at things.
You got his name.
Intro.
Wintro.
Intro. I knew it was a W, and I was thinking Wendy, and I'm like, that's definitely not right. Though, to be argued, I wonder if there's a parallel between Wendy and Peter Pan, and yeah, that's a really weird line of thought, but we're gonna leave that there. I think that the themes that she explored in this trilogy are really great, and I really loved exploring the themes, especially talking with everybody about them, whether it was on Vox or everything else, because some of these themes really cut to the core, and it feels like she's not shying away from a lot of these things. Between everything going on with Wintro and his dad, and everything with the live ships. I loved the serpents. The serpents were great because I love world building. Yeah, so great series.
Okay, I'm the same. Ship of Magic is at the top so far for me, and honestly, a lot of the same commentary. Like the serpents, at first I wasn't sure what to make of them, but in terms of world building and everything, like and magic and just like what we knew kind of that they probably represented, which was mysteries that were going to be revealed to us. Like I was very intrigued right from the start about what they were going to represent, and like even though I admittedly also like will just think of Liveship as one big book. I do remember Ship of Magic, like where it started, of course, because for me, I don't like, I mean, I'm sure that a lot of you guys feel the same way, but in terms of when you feel like rage and frustration for a character like Kyle, or like later for like Kenneth, and even early on, not so much rage, but like frustration for a character like Malta, like for me, all of those emotions, even though they're negative, mean that I'm like just extremely locked in and engaged. And so there were people that I did love, like Amber and Althea and like whatever, like that I was rooting for and everything. But I was so tuned in to like every little bit. Like I was so excited and happy to see Robin Hobb taking on like the multi POV story and like just the different structure that she used for Liveship in comparison to Farseer. Even though like still loved Farseer, I was just, I don't know, I was just totally on board for like Liveship, and Ship of Magic just represents the start of that. Like I basically feel the same way about all three of the books, but I loved them so much.
I can say that this, even more than just being top of so far, this is my top book in the Realm of the Elderlings. I love Ship of Magic so unbelievably much, so it can go above Royal Assassin. There's just everything. Like, so yeah, I view the trilogy in the same way. It's just one big book, but the thing that makes me put this one top and top of everything is, I think, purely the time in which I was reading it. Like I remember I was at my great aunt's reading it. It was so nice and calm. And
And the
It
book
has
wasn't.
the. What's that? Sorry.
I said, and the book wasn't.
Yeah, and it was that that overwhelming moment of like, oh, this is beyond. Like, this is one of my favorite things. Is the scene where Wintro, it's the Wintro where Kyle's like, you'll never be a haven, and he's like, because I'm a Vestrit type thing. That scene, that line, absolute banger. And that whenever I think about Realm of the Elderlings, I think about Wintro. Like, there are certain moments, and Wintro saying, because I'm a Vestrit, and because it's like Ronica, badass, Althea, badass, Brashen, all of these characters are goated. Like, when I think about all the other books, I think Fitz, Ketrican, I think of certain people. When I think about Liveship, I think of every single character, and I'm like, I love and hate every single one of them exactly how much Robin Hobb wanted me to, and I think that's why Liveship's it's purely goated. So I'm firmly on the other end of the spectrums.
You know, I wrote in the comments, "I'll kill you, Nico," and it did not post stream yet. Error.
You got your comment banned on your own stream.
My comment got blocked in my own stream, and I didn't.
They're coming for you, Anita. You've been flagged.
I see. Kyle will talk more in Ship of Destiny, but I won't agree that he was mostly correct in what he told Althea. That not at all agree. Kyle said that not out of concern or trying to teach her. He said out of grabbing for power. He wants the power. He wants the control. That's why he said that. That's why
But
I don't
it doesn't
agree
negate
with
that he
him
was
there.
still mostly right.
No. If he was the right person, actually, he knows that Althea wants it, and she is the rightful heiress to that ship, actually. So, I mean, if her father was there, he would have given it to Althea. Kyle would have taken her under her wing and teach her more, actually. But that's not what he said. You know, telling her that you don't know, go and get married, is not being right, actually. Maybe he's right about Althea not ready to captain the ship. That part, maybe he's right. But that doesn't mean that she has to go and get married. That doesn't mean that she has to give up her dream. And Wintro also is not ready, but he wants Wintro to get the ship. He wants Wintro to learn that opportunity he did not give Althea. That's why he's not right.
So Anita is this fired up about Ship of Magic? Just wait for Ship of Destiny, everyone.
I also misspoke.
also-
This is my third favorite series, not my second.
I will also say with Kyle, I tend to disagree with the slave trader personally. That's just a personal thing.
He's wrong for the slave trade. No. He's wrong, but at the same time, in the culture that this is in, he is correct. In the culture of the traders, he is correct.
Turnal, we are talking spoilers. If you're planning to read it, you have to hop off from here. But I mean, if you're not planning to read it, you can continue. Sorry, Andrew, go ahead.
But I also love what happens to Kyle. So, again, I don't like him, but a lot of what he said ended up proving out to be correct.
But, like, that's not even mostly correct. That's like you have the barest bones of correctness.
Yeah, that's like 5% correct.
Yeah, you have the barest bones, and then you have the rest of everything that's just like.
Kyle is one of my most hated characters just because in his way he's so like mundanely evil in terms of like he takes advantage of like a like patriarchy, and you just hate everything that he like his views about, like, I don't know, I guess you could call it like his social views, where he's just like, yeah, no, like, I'm Chalcedean, I'm the man, so like get fucked.
Yeah,
and,
I mean,
That's his culture.
yeah, but his culture.
You don't have to like it, but that's his culture.
I don't like it.
So
I hate
that the patriarchy is fine because this is the world we live in. But I will just say
that's the world
hold on. I will just say that I actually think that Kyle is not actively taking advantage of the patriarchy because, again, this is the world in which he lives. He thinks that he is doing right. That doesn't mean he is right. He thinks
Whatever.
what he's doing is the correct way.
See,
So he's not, I don't think
hate
he's actively taking advantage of
the
anything.
banality of evil.
Anyway, sorry, Anita, go ahead.
I hate Kenneth more than Kyle. Yes, Kyle is a horrible person. He is misogynist and he is, but he, he did not. Everyone knows what kind of person he was, and he let them be. So, but Kenneth is not like that. He always hides his true nature and manipulate people. They're always dangerous than people like Kyle. At least Kyle, we can see and we can figure out and we can maintain our distance. We can save ourselves from people like Kyle. But people from like Kenneth, many people fall victims from those kind of people.
So
Kenneth is
counter
more
argument
manipulative.
about Kenneth is
Not
I don't think
acceptable. Denied.
But also, another kind of point to Anitha, her father was there and made the choice to give the ship to Kyle. He was convinced to do it. He gave the ship to Kyle. He didn't take it from her. He chose not to give it to her.
He did not give the ship to. Okay.
Yes, he did.
Ronica convinced him to give the ship to Kyle so that Kefria will be happy and so that their property won't be divided. She has other plans. That is Ronica's plan. It's not what Ephron wanted. Because Ephron was already weak, then he was dying, and he did not have enough fight in him to fight with his wife. That's why he agreed. Ronica made that choice.
I know. It was still a choice he made. Kyle didn't steal anything.
I like how we're still so early on in the
Kyle
line.
did not
Yeah.
I was gonna say
Sorry?
we're almost an hour in and we've only gotten through.
Yeah, that's true. We
Can
need
I
to
just
hurry
say
up.
that I think it goes to show some of Hobbs' skill in like how complex the characters are that we can argue endlessly about these decisions.
Okay.
Yeah.
I need like 1 hour for Ship of Destiny. Let's move on. Let's start. Andrew, Mad Ship.
Hold on,
Mad
real
Ship
quick.
goes before Ship of or Mad Ship's at the end. It took
Okay.
way too long. If there was 200 pages removed from that book, I'd rank it higher. But
So
also, we
before
get
I
more serpents. And again, I've already stated I hate the serpents.
okay, but before I get to my ranking, I will just say that Kenneth, I don't think he actively manipulates people. He basically stumbles into situations. He's like, all right, I'll go with this. I don't think he actively manipulates people. He just
wants
is
power.
reactionary
He doesn't
to.
have a plan to get it. He just wants it.
Yeah, he's just reactionary to people around him. But
Yeah.
anyways, Mad Ship for me is after Ship of Magic before Royal Assassin.
Pete.
I'll put Ship of Magic or Mad Ship after Ship of Magic. Again, mostly just because like they're basically the same book in my opinion. I think the ending of Ship of Magic's ending was Mad Ship was the invasion of Bingtown, right?
Yeah.
Put Mad Ship in front of Ship of Magic, actually. We'll do that because that was a wild time. And then Malta and this is where we actually get the evolution of Malta. That's right. The start to it, and that also was really, really nice to see. So I'll put Mad Ship there.
God, this is so difficult.
Right.
Honestly, Liveship is all damn near the same like level in my mind, so I'll just put Mad Ship behind Ship of Magic and above Royal Assassin. But like there's barely any difference between those places.
I mean, there's barely any difference between all the books. Let's be honest. They're all
This is-
It's the same author. They're all the same book.
I'm gonna put Mad Ship after Ship of Magic as well.
Okay, I love Matship. Matship is like top tier for me, almost equal to Assassin's Apprentice and Assassin's Quest. Matship is my favorite in Liveship trilogy. Ship of Magic, I like the setup, I like the world building, everything, but I felt miserable with Kenneth, Kyle taking Kenneth taking Vivacia and all. I was miserable, but Matship gave me hope. That's where actually Althea, Brashen, and Amber prepared Paragon and started to get back Vivacia. So there was hope in that. I loved Matship. It was perfect for me. And you, Ship of
Ship of
Destiny.
Destiny. Put it right ahead of Assassin's Apprentice. I thought it was a fantastic end to the journey. I liked seeing. This is when I still had hope that the dragons were going to be cool. So you can go ahead and put it right there. Basically, I like the end of this series.
Evie.
Ship of Destiny will actually go above Ship of Magic for me, please. I love.
Hey, we ranked it the same place so far.
Agreement.
Yay! We'll take this where we can get it right now. But I at the end of Liveship Traders, I love Paragon so much. Just everything about his character. And then I didn't know that I could love him more and then Fitz and the Fool happened. But we'll get to that. But Paragon is so. Everyone talks about Ophelia, but I'm like, no one prepped me for how much I would love Paragon. Just so complex and how can I love his live ship so much. Also, unrelated, well, tangentially related. So the Robin Hood book tag that Stephanie created, she'd put Brashen as the romantic, like the prompt was like romantic thing. And once I read Brashen's character and I was like experiencing this trilogy, I'm like, oh, now I get it why people have like fictional crushes. Brashen is great. I love Brashen.
I love Brashen too.
I understand where you're coming from that because I have a character later on that I'm like,
Malta? No, it's not Malta? Why?
no, it's not Malta.
Malta has the greatest redemption arc in the entire series.
She does.
She's so good.
I will put Ship of Destiny after Assassin's Quest. I think there's a lot of things in Ship of Destiny that were really good, like Paragon's story, and just the character development around a lot of people. There are some things about the ending that I feel like, one, the ending was really, really quick. It was too quick, and like the falling action, like there needed like 100 more pages of falling action to deal with everything that happened in the peak. It needed to be longer, in my opinion. And then
so remove the 100 from that ship and put them into Ship of Destiny.
Yeah. I'll let, and then the very last thing has to do with Althea's story, but I'll let Anitha really talk about that because that's her thing. Spoilers.
That's my story. Thank you, Grace.
Okay. I feel like okay. So first of all, I think I would like to put Ship of Destiny below Royal Assassin, above Assassin's Apprentice, and I think I want to switch Matship to the top. But I will also let Anitha talk about it. But Ship of Destiny, while I thought it was a great concluding book, and like I loved most of it just as much as the other two, I also have like, when I think about that book, the only thing I really think about is the like trauma that I felt near the end when a certain thing happens, when I felt genuinely sick to my stomach, which has rarely ever happened. And I was like very upset. But I still loved the book. And I think that like as a whole, Liveship is still my favorite series, I think. But it's tough to think of, like, it's just tough to think of Ship of Destiny and not only think of that. So yeah.
I'm going to put it after Mad Ship, please.
Oh, I thought it's your favorite. I heard you
No,
talking about it somewhere. I thought it's your favorite. Okay, go ahead.
no, Ship of Destiny. Well, I think honestly, I feel like with these three, I've simultaneously said that one of those three is my favorite at some point because it just depends on the day. But the reason I put Ship of Magic more is mainly because of my reading experience. Like I just have fond memories, and I think when everything's so similar, you've got to cut it somehow. But yeah, I agree with Destiny. I think there are wonderful, wonderful things in it, and I also think there are
Excuse
some
me.
horrific things in it that are, I think, yeah, what you're going to talk about, and then also I think there is a casting aside of Wintro in Ship of Destiny in terms of like you have that moment in the first one, but I understand that that's the point is that Kennet is this kind of overarching thing. So when you do have people suffering and losing themselves in his kind of shadow of evil, then it I understand it. I just don't appreciate it as much as the other books. So yeah, that's where it goes for me.
Okay, no surprises to most of the people here. Ship of Destiny, I gave it 2 stars. It is my least favorite book. I hated Hob in this. You know what she did to Althea. It's not what she did, it's how she did it is what bothered me, because in already in while they're coming to get Vivesha back on Paragon, someone tried to assault Althea and she fought him off. And after putting her through that, okay, oh my god, I need to calm down. And what only to get Althea on Vivesha to be raped by Kenneth. And it was a 2700 page trilogy. She had like 1800 of pages of first 2 books and almost half of Ship of Destiny to give us Kenneth's backstory. But she chose to give us Kenneth's backstory when he raped Althea, as if justifying his actions. While I understand that it happens in real life too, that victims end up doing that to other people, make other people victims. I did not like her narrating choice here, that she chose to give us his background story when he raped Althea. That was so tough. It looked as if it justified his actions, and many people said that when I criticized it. Yeah, can it also suffered that trauma? He was raped when he was a kid, as if that justifies him, as if that vindicated him. I did not like that. And everything that happened, nobody, no, I mean, not believing Althea, including his family members, including Vivesha, broke my heart. Even that, it's not what happened, it's how Hob approached it. Like when Vivesha uh, asked Kenneth, confronted Kenneth, Vivesha told him that, tell me the truth. I mean, it is very wrong for dragons, can't accept this it is very wrong for dragons, rape is very wrong for dragons. There was the dialogue, but there is no following action for that dialogue. Actually, it did not hold up, nothing happened to Kenneth. Yes, he was dead, but he would have been dead even without that entire rape scene. There is no reason for that scene at all. When Satrop and all that army attacked, Kenneth would have died, but he died a hero's death. Everyone thought him as king. That I did not like that at all. And Althea did not get anything. And I talked about it in my review also. Two people actually had ambition in this trilogy. Two women had ambition, Cerilla and Althea. Both were raped. I did not like that at all. And actually, there was character development for many female characters in this trilogy. Kefria has some by the end, Malta has character development, Etta has character development. Hob rewarded all of them. She gave power and control to them, but they all they don't have ambition with respect to achieving something. What they want is like marriage, kids, settle down with a man. Hob rewarded all those female characters. Two female characters had ambition, both were raped. I did not like that actually. I and After this, sorry, last 200 300 pages for Althea, there was nothing to her character, as if that character was dead. She just sat back and saw Wintro and be proud of Wintro, how far he has come, be proud of Malta, like how much she has grown. That's all. There is nothing for that character. She was just begging for Brashen to accept her. And yes, she kind of healed Althea's trauma with Paragon. That we got that only in one page that I did not like that actually. That trauma, oh my god. I went to groceries and I was picking up groceries and I cried actually at random times. It took me like long time, months to get over that trauma. I mean, it's not about the trauma, it's not about what she put through Althea. I did not like narrative choices made by Hobb. Even at the end, Althea did not even get a chance to say goodbye to Vivacia. What we got was at the last chapter, Malta and Etta getting ready with all those dresses for the ball with or dinner with Satrap. That I hated that narrative choice.
It did feel a little tacked on, that whole ball that trap thing.
You convinced me. Drop Ship of Destiny 2 points, 2 places.
Really?
Yeah. That was a
Oh my God.
very well passionate argument. Drop it 2 places.
Okay, after
I think all of those criticisms are extremely fair, and true.
Thank you.
I guess we no longer have an agreement. So.
But I agree with everything you just said. It's nothing I really gave a lot of mental power to or thought about in the time, but that was very well said and all 100% valid. I also don't like Wintro's ending. Wintro gets the shaft through the rest of the series. He basically ends up with a woman who doesn't love him.
Spoiler alert! Just,
Oh, well, no, that you get that at the end of.
You get that in the end. She straight up tells him.
True. Never mind.
Yeah,
carry on.
Because I was going to say that, I completely agree, and I do. Part of me thinks that Hobb is doing it intentionally, because I think Wintro counts as that as well, where he also has ambition, and it's his ambition to become a priest and everything, and he ends up completely outside of it. And I think there is a weird thing in the trilogy where it's not like the whole trilogy is all of the people that you should root for end up in the worst possible situations, and all the people who you don't root for get good things for no reason. And I think it purely comes down to lived experience and all kinds of things in terms of informing that reading thing. Whereas I think, for instance, what Andrew's saying, where when you read it from a kind of distance perspective, I think I can view it dispassionately in terms of what she's doing as a whole narrative, but all of those critiques are fully understandable and reasonable and correct.
Thank you. One last point I want to make actually. Initially, when this trilogy started, actually, not Andrew and other people in comments who said Kyle was right, but people were angry with Kyle for what he did. But by the end of the trilogy, what happened was exactly what Kyle wanted actually. Althea gave up Vivacia and got married and settled down, and Wintro got Vivacia. I'm surprised that more people are not angry with it actually.
Yeah, but he got killed.
Yeah.
He got 8. So people aren't as mad.
Yeah.
People aren't as mad because Kyle's dead anyway.
Yeah.
He died an awful death after being starved in the hold and on an island for months.
Yeah, it's kind of ironic that his ambition, even though it was technically realized, it was not to the benefit of him.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. I'll calm down. This next 3-4 books you guys talk, Evie take over. I'll just put rank and I need to calm my feelings down. Okay, next
For me,
novella.
you can just put Princess and the Piebald at the end because I never read it.
Okay, you need to read it. It's really good, Andrew.
I'm sure I'll do it on reread.
Okay.
In 2027.
Can you put Willful Princess and the Piebald Prince after Ship of Destiny for me? I really like. On its own, it is a wonderful. It's essentially two novellas, but the just craft of it, in that it's like this kind of in-world text that this person is writing down, with both of these stories. I think it was just really. I think it's just really great, and then obviously the kind of broader contextualization of the events in Tawny Man, albeit I did read it after I was finished with the entire 16 book series. I think it really just fleshes things out a bit more, makes it the already so rich world richer, in a very small way. So.
I'll put it basically in the exact same place as Evie before Ship of Destiny, after Assassin's Quest. I think this was a really good piece of like background information, a good story to tell us about the history of Bucky and that whole world. I think she could have done it in, her usual epigraph way if she wanted to, but she didn't, and I think it made it so much more valuable for that. I would have appreciated that with some of the other stuff that was told to us in epigraphs, because I think there is a rich story there that would have been that would have warranted novellas for some of this other history as well.
Okay, I think I'm gonna put it above Assassin's Quest, I believe. I have this thing with novellas where even though I loved this, they just don't leave as much of an impact on me as the full-length novels. So I really have nothing negative to say about it. And I did love it when I read it, but I just think that on the whole, I don't know, it's hard to even the playing field with them.
I have the same problem with novellas.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how good it is.
I'm going to put it after Royal Assassin, for pretty much the same reasons. I think when I am missing Hob, I'll reread this. And that's kind of how I view it, is that it's just a perfect accompaniment, and it was refreshing, like Pete was saying, with the narrative voice. There's the thing I like about Hob, is that sometimes she just spices things up. She just sprinkles in something like a new voice or something that really kick drives you. And so I think it's perfectly perfect, but compared to the perfectness of other perfect books, it's slightly less perfect.
It's the entire ranking for me almost.
Yeah.
I really liked this novella. It was 5 stars for me. It was sad, but it made sense. So it was aftermatch for me.
It felt very fairy tale-esque in its
Mhm.
historical present
That
narrative structure.
version of fairy tale? Yeah.
You say bad version of fairy tale?
Dark.
Oh,
fairy tales
I mean,
are-
that is a fairy tale, to be honest. Fairy tales
We're
are
not
supposed
talking
to
Disney.
Andrew looks like a Pokemon trainer that's about to have to put out a Pokemon with only 1 HP left. He's stressed.
Yeah, I'm really stressed. Fool's Errand. Oh.
And
I'm sorry, I'm holding myself.
I don't think Fool's Errand is as good as Royal Assassin. But it's one of the best ending of any of the books. Yeah, I think, Anita, you might have it. No, put it back. I think that's where we're going to put Fool's Errand. Just due to the end of the book alone.
Okay.
I think I have to put it right there. Yeah.
Oh man, that was hysterical.
I'm saving my fire for the last trilogy.
Well, here's my very unpopular opinion. Y'all are gonna hate me. Fool's Errand variant.
You don't come after Night Eyes like that.
Listen, that Night Eyes, his scene. Other than that, I didn't care a damn thing about this book.
I could have watched Fitz on his farm for an extra 200 pages. I don't know why.
Me too.
It was amazing.
Then that's a spicy meatball.
It's a spicy meatball. I mean, to be fair, it's still 5 stars. So, well, I think it was 4.5 or something. I don't know, but either way.
Yes. So sad. Could you put it above Assassin's Quest for me, Anita? So I can't put like the best Night, but like the OG Night Eyes book above like anywhere near any end of anything. Like this is like Night Eyes dying.
Evie, you just
Night Eyes.
disrespected Night Eyes, and I hope
Like-
you'll have to live with that for the rest of your life.
I mean, it's okay. I mean, I'll get her back for it later. Like you and me both, Andrew. But I don't know. Everything surrounding Night Eyes was just so good. You have this even amongst the Fitz and Night Eyes and Hap on the farm, like you still get that sense of foreboding a little bit with Night Eyes getting old, and I think Hobb built that very, very well. And then like the added background with the piebald people, like just everything worked out so well and fleshed out so many things. It fleshed out some stuff from the first series that I was really interested in as well. That really just hit me really good. I just loved it. Yeah.
I'm literally looking at this going, how am I supposed to do this?
Right.
Okay, I am gonna say put it between Madship and Ship of Magic near the top. Because
You see
like
how wrong you are, Evie? Look at all this.
I'm thinking about this going, these two series, like I have some feelings about Golden Fool, but like for the most part, like Fool's Errand, like I also could have been like, give me 5 billion pages of Fitz just like living his life at the start of this book. Like this is what I was referring to earlier when I said that Assassin's Apprentice as the very first book, like it couldn't technically have this feeling, but every like first book after that, I was like, give me all of this like reintroduction, like getting back into the world, like let me just like calmly, I will follow these characters with whatever they're doing, even if it's nothing right now. And so like just as the start of the series, Fool's Errand had that, and then like I loved the rest of the book too, but it was so good. I love that about it.
I'm gonna put it after Madship, and for the same reason, that first 150 pages is one of the best Hobb just segments, because like go after how good Liveship was for me, like very much like my favorite trilogy ever. I was like, oh, going back to Fitz after Farseer and everything, is it gonna? And then those 150 pages just flew by so comfortably. It felt like it's the most cottage core book I've ever read for like that first 150 pages, and I was loving it.
I mean, is it because literally you're in a cottage with Fitz?
Yeah. Yeah.
Who doesn't want to be in a cottage with
Who would have
Fitz?
given you that idea?
I just love how it's like a I don't even have to describe it. It's just people rocking up to his house and be like, hello, and he's like, come in, let's have a chat for a bit. And I'm like, what a beautiful way to reintroduce me to everyone, because I want to have a chat. Please sit down and have an extended dialogue, because that's all I've wanted. And yeah, it's so good. So like I completely agree with Grace. There are certain books that purely on the opening alone completely fly up my rankings, because there's just such a comfort to them. And I don't even remember what happened in Fool's Errand. Like genuinely, I'm thinking back and I'm like, there was 150 pages at the start, just chilling, and then stuff happened.
Dutiful runs away.
Dutiful was kidnapped, and
yeah.
Fitz will go and save him.
And
That's
Night
it.
Eyes,
Yeah.
Nice.
See, I have that problem with Golden Fool. I don't really remember what happened in Golden Fool.
I
remember one thing in Golden Fool.
Yeah.
I don't.
Well, we can get to that in right after Anita ranks her stuff.
I loved Fool's Errand. Agree with everyone what you said. I would have read that, Fitz and Night Eyes living in that had like hundreds of pages. So good, actually. I have no complaints, and I like the way Hobb handled Night Eyes' death, actually. That's what Night Eyes want. He asked Fitz to let go of him. I cried. It's it's very sad, but it was not dramatic. She did it very well.
I don't know if anybody else feels this way, but looking back, the fact that there's 9 Fitz books, it's kind of unfathomable to me that Night Eyes passed away in the 4th one.
Yeah.
Like, it didn't feel like
Yeah.
that on the first read through, and I'm kind of like,
Well,
could this be?
And yet,
Technically, third one because he wasn't even in the first one.
That's true.
Yeah.
the fact
I
that
think it's
she-
because it's because how much through Fizz's thoughts and Fizz's thought process, Night Eyes is with us till the end of the
Yes.
series.
Absolutely. That's very true. It doesn't feel like he's gone, even though, like, physically, yeah.
Yeah.
Can somebody remind me what happens in Golden Fool?
Fizz
Homophobic
will-
era.
Yeah.
Fizz
What?
comes back to Buckkeep as Fool's assistant, and
Badger
Wasn't
Lock or
it all
whatever.
of the
that's the Tom
relations
Badgerlock
with
book.
the Out Islands and the first introduction to, like, Eliana? She
Yeah.
comes back to Buckkeep. There's all of that political intrigue.
yeah.
Oh yeah, put that.
And
Put
there
that
is
after Ship
lot
of Magic
of,
for me.
Sorry.
Put that after Ship of Magic. It
Okay.
was okay. I remember enjoying reading it, but again, it doesn't really stick in my mind.
Put
Okay.
it after Mad Ship before Royal Assassin for me, please. It was the most mid book ever, but I loved it.
That's such
No. Sorry. Mid book as in like middle book. Sorry, that's what I meant.
okay.
We're going with your first one.
I'm so sorry. Word choice. Terrible.
I still
but
think
no,
that's the perfect description for Golden Fall. Like, it is mid, and I loved it.
Yeah.
Chadia's
Connor
comment
loves
just
Golden
reminded
Fool.
me, like, the fact that the quest is promised in Golden Fool, and then for an entire book, it just does not happen.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. That was one of my criticisms.
Yeah, that she does that a
All I
lot.
remember is my brain just plastered setup book.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, set up for Fool's Fate. It's interesting because, like, looking back on Royal Assassin and Golden Fool, like, they're not very highly ranked, but they're like the most political. Like, they feel like they're a lot with, like, has the most political fantasy of them all because you're in a castle in the middle of the politics and stuff like that. And yet, and for me, as someone who loves political fantasy, they're not even in the top whatever. Like, I think I'll put Golden Fool. I'll put it above Ship of Destiny, but those last 4 are kind of shuffleable around, I think. I might change them in the end, but like, I remember Fitz getting thrown in prison, and that's it. At the end, like, it was okay for a Hob book. It was good, but
Okay. I think I'm actually, I don't know. I'm gonna put it at the bottom of mine. Did someone just slam their fist on the table when I said that?
It did sound like
Honestly,
My mistake. My
I-
mistake.
it does have middle book syndrome. I still, like, I enjoyed most of it, and, like, I do love Fitz and the Fool in this book, but then that's also the slight downfall of it is some of the way that they interact and the way that Fitz acts toward the Fool. I feel very defensive over the Fool and protective over the Fool, and it's like the I said earlier that, like, a lot of the time when I'm feeling negative emotions while reading, it's not me feeling negative towards the book. This one very much towed the line between those two things, where at certain points I was like, Fitz, literally, why are you acting like that? Like, it's what Ben said. It was his homophobic era where he was just being a little bitch towards the Fool a little bit. And but, like, most of it I enjoyed because, like, I liked the setup for the final book and I liked what we were doing. I just had criticisms. That's all.
Technically, it can't be his homophobic era because we still don't know.
We never
You
knew.
never get the answer. But
I'm putting it after Assassin's Quest. For the same
Benny's hurting me
reasons.
with this last Assassin's of both Pete and
Ben
Ben.
likes homophobia more than he likes Assassin's Apprentice, the book. that brought them together.
Absolutely. I was going to let that linger for a second. No, Golden Fall has some of the most frustrating moments in the entire series. and there's a lot in this book that is only paid off via the next trilogy for Fitz, because as I said, homophobic era. There's also the introduction of fic, which could go multiple ways depending on the representation, etc. And I love fic, but when it was first introduced, I remember being like, man, if you're in your homophobic era, I don't necessarily trust for us to not also be in our disability shaming era. So I was very nervous during Goldenfall for that reason. But and so as a result, it's lower on the list for me. Assassin's Apprentice is bottom for me at the moment because I just remember feeling like it was a springboard for everything else. And so for it, like until I reread it, everything else in my mind is like that was the springboard for everything else to go above it, essentially. And so that's why it's there. And also because I just don't respect that's how I met Grace. You know, that's
Good.
or I could say, redact that, the book suffered in comparison to the perfection that was Grace, so naturally it seemed more mid. There you go.
There's something right there on the tip of your nose. It might be slightly brown.
Okay, I agree with all you said. This is like this book has middle book syndrome. I did not. There is, I mean, there is a lot of stuff happens with all that issues with what is this people with people and all that. And also this is only set up. We keep waiting for them to go on quest, but that doesn't start. I was like, I remember finishing the book. I was like, we did not even start traveling. Oh my god! Like in the beginning of the book, we decided, okay, we are going on this quest. I was like all excited, but they did not even start on the journey. I did not like that. But this has one of my favorite confrontation scenes between Fizz and Fool. I mean, yes, your guys are jokingly saying homophobia, but I don't think that's the case with Fizz. He did not like that Fool knows everything about Fizz, but Fizz doesn't know anything about Fool. He did not like the idea of Fool having this whole different personality of Amber, and he did not even know that. If I know that if my best friend is hiding something from me, I would have reacted the same. And at the same time, I understand Fool's perspective, why he did not tell. He doesn't want to lose Fizz. This is one of the confrontation scenes where I agree, both of them. I loved that scene. So for that, I am going to put them before Royal Assassin, after Royal Assassin. I can't decide. Okay, for now, let's keep this here.
Yeah, so I I also don't think that Fitz was being like homophobic. I think he was also, what Chadi said here, very confused. And I think it's more like a trust thing of like similar to what Anitha was saying, like, but further than that for me is like, and this is just me sharing my deep rooted fears of like, if I feel a level of closeness to someone, my hope and expectation is that they would feel the same way toward me, that same level of closeness and openness and transparency. And Fitz doesn't get that with the Fool. And he feels like, well, I feel so close to the Fool, he obviously doesn't feel as close to me, otherwise he would trust me with this information. And I think that's really like hard for Fitz to manage in that moment. And realize in that moment, and it's just so confusing, and it's a little heartbreaking that, you know, Fitz he just feels like he's not trusted by the Fool.
I have a retort, as it were. I do think that he's being homophobic because we know that this is a homophobic society, and he does physically say, like, two men aren't meant to be like that. Like, that is verbatim what he says. And I think the thing is that I genuinely don't think he feels like he is portrayed by the Fool, but I don't think that's what he's angriest about. He's angriest, I think, himself, because he has those feelings. Like, they have slept together, they have shared such intimate moments that I think because he's in a homophobic society, they're going, this could be true. I have those feelings for you. In his head, he's going, oh my, that's a no. And it's it's when he finds out that people are talking about it, people think it. It's the pure retaliation of no. People can't think I'm gay. I'm not. That's disgusting. And it's the inherent societal homophobia that I think is it's clearly what Hobbes getting at. I think and I also think that with queerness, we're very aware how hard it is for people to come out, and so to see the Fool reach a point where I understand from Fitz's perspective, he's like, well, I trusted you, you should have told me everything. The Fool is at a point where he's now willing to tell certain elements and explain more, and Fitz closes him down, which is like, if someone comes out to you and you go, that's disgusting, then that's a horrific thing to do, in my opinion. And so that's where I felt like it was a great use of societal, the way that the Six Duchies works, the way and the difference between that and what we get in later series, to show the difference between where homophobia is and isn't, and how it affects things. The same as like racism is played in different societies in the Six Duchies. But yeah, I didn't jive with it quite so much.
That's a good point, actually. That's a good point, actually. But I did not think Six Duchess as homophobic. Maybe I forgot some incidents. I need to think on it. Good argument, Ben.
It's less so like, it's not like a main plot point, I don't think, in a lot of ways. Like, I feel like it's less overt. It's more of just like a ingrained belief in Fitz that's like a little bit more subtle. But just in addition to what you were saying, Ben, like less of a direct comparison. But I also feel like that's part of what she was doing with like the piebalds and the old blood, is like people who are what's the word I'm looking for? Like ostracized for something that they can't change, which can go towards, like, we talked about this a lot on Voxer and stuff, where like that type of thing could definitely apply to a lot more traits that are othered than just like queerness. But I do feel like it's sort of that just theme that she was getting at. So that coincided obviously throughout these books with that storyline between Fitz and the Fool and Golden Fool.
Okay. By the way, just to make it clear, Ben, I agree. You convinced me that I'm wrong. There is the homo, but both things can be true. Like Anita said.
Yes. Before moving forward, who has to leave at what time? Who is in her?
I've got 33 minutes.
Okay. We'll speed it up at the same time, after maybe when we have 15 minutes left or 10 minutes left, we'll finish off your ranking first. Okay?
Who, me?
Okay. Yeah. Yes, and you.
Okay. Cool.
Okay, no, fast, Fool's Fate. Where do I
Fool's
keep it?
Fate? All right, great. I'm going to lose some friends here. This is my official end of the Realm of the Elderlings. It's the last book I enjoyed. We're going to put it right behind Royal Assassin. Just because you've got Burrich, you've got Fitz's reintroduction as a Farseer. It was just everything I wanted. And if you want a happy end to the series and you don't want to feel... I'll save those comments for Fitz and the Fool. But
we did not get... Fool wasn't introduced... Fizz wasn't introduced as Farseer in this book. It happened in Fool's Quest.
Okay, whatever. I don't care.
But to the people that really mattered, all of them knew he was a Farseer by the end of this book.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, we're gonna stick it as probably my second favorite.
Okay.
And just the way Burrich goes. Oh
my God.
Leader of the pack.
Heart of the pack.
Heart of the pack.
Heart of the pack. Sorry.
Yeah.
Evie?
So before I make my ranking, let me caveat this and let me justify my ranking. So Fool's Fate was a nearly perfect book until the last 200 pages or so. Yeah. I was just so frustrated with the denouement or whatever after the climax of everything, particularly because I loved Molly so much. Fitz's perspective of Molly, of him reconnecting to Molly, like I wasn't frustrated that they reconnected. I was frustrated with the just the quickness in which Robin Hobb portrayed their reconnection. Like, listen, Molly's been with Burke for 16 years. Like, she loves him. Like, grief some more, please. I want to see more grief.
She had like a year and a half.
I know, but again, the way that Robin Hobb wrote it, it's very glossary in a way. And again, we're getting it from Fitz's perspective, so I understand it, but I still didn't like it. It still made me very frustrated. With that said, Fitz, the first 200 or so pages of Fitz and the Fool really made me appreciate those last 200 pages of Fool's Fate a lot more. So, with that said, I would put Fool's Fate behind Ship of Magic and before Mad Ship.
I'm going to take a shot across the bow, and I'm going to say maybe it felt rushed because it was supposed to be the end of the series.
I mean, it originally was supposed to be the end of the series, but me coming from it, knowing that there's an entire other trilogy called Fitz and the Fool that continues Fitz's story, like, it, I can't go back in time and be like, oh, I gotta read this, with just this in mind, unfortunately.
I will be.
Pete. Okay, guys, it's like Oscar speeches, 1 minute per book per person.
Listen, you should have set this expectation from the beginning, Anita. We're already off. Like,
Andrew is the one who has to go.
Genie's out of
well,
the
then
box.
he can get shorter time.
No one wants to hear his opinion anyway on the last books.
It's true.
You're going to love where they rank.
Fool's Fate, perfect book. Put it at the top. Fool's Fate was amazing for me. Part of it because, to me, this is where Hobb is at her peak in terms of a balance between plot and character. So you get some really great character moments, and you get some really great just plot threads coming together in such an epic way into an epic last battle. And she has set this up for 8 other books, and she does such a fantastic job of bringing it all together and bringing it to that resolution. And I absolutely loved it. So this was like my book for just like, oh wait, she said this in book 1 and book 3, and this all comes together like this, and oh my gosh, this is so cool. So
I can't remember there's a particular chapter, and I can't remember the exact chapter number. For some reason, I'm thinking it's maybe 18. Where
how would you remember the chapter number?
I don't know. Well, no, I remember what happened, but it's just I think it's chapter 18. I could be wrong, but it's really that, like, where the point where everything is culminating. And I remember sending a Voxer message saying, like, this is so exciting. This is where everything is coming together. And it was just, it's really exhilarating to read that chapter. It's when it's during the ice fire, and the Fool is saying, yeah, I gotta go down, and I'm gonna whatever. Anyways, carry on. Sorry.
Grace.
Yeah, I wasn't necessarily expecting this, although let's be real, I feel like my rating could change, like, depending on the day you ask me. But I think that just considering everything that happened in Fool's Fate, I'm gonna put it at the top. I personally adored the final 200 pages or whatever of it. And, like, I do get what you're saying, Andrew. Like, it feels like a finale. And obviously it is a finale of a series. But, like, just knowing that, like, Robin Hobb is somebody who, like, has had her ideas, thought she was done, then decided to write more. Like, I do absolutely understand where you're coming from, like, saying that this feels like it was supposed to be the end. But I don't know what I could even criticize about Fool's Fate. Like, not that I'm looking for things to criticize, but I just think, like, it's pretty much perfect. So there you go.
I'm going to put it after Fool's Errand, please. It's just a straight banger. That's my review. If we've got a minute, I'm going to use 10 seconds just to say banger.
You're gonna have to draw out that banger though.
Okay,
You're gonna have to say it a couple more times, I think.
it's a banger.
Super banger.
Solid
Banger
banger.
of bangers.
I can't decide whether to put before full surrender, after full surrender. Okay, right now, let's put it before full surrender. I liked Nettle's arc. I liked Thick's arc. That entire quest thing that was like amazing. And I like Barrick's arc. And I did not have any problem with Molly and Fizz getting together. Molly took like more than 1 year time, and Fizz was always first love to Molly. That is always special. So I completely understand. I don't have any problem with it.
Again,
Dragon
I don't
Keeper.
have a problem
No.
with how it happened. It's just the stuff. Anyways, to comment on Chadi's thing, as much as I was frustrated by the final 200 pages or so, ending Fool's Fate with with Fitz saying "I am content,"
Content, yes.
still beautiful, so beautiful.
Yes.
I don't get why you hate tent so much. Sorry, Andrew, wait in.
Oh my
Okay, Dragon Keeper, you can drop it right in the bin. Put it after Piebald Prince. I haven't even tried. This I felt what? No, put it after Piebald Prince. I said what I said.
That's not fair, Andrew.
I don't care.
Piebald
It's
Prince
funny.
still has potential for Andrew.
Yeah, it still has potential. I didn't like anything about these dragons. I didn't like anything about these teenagers going feral. I didn't want like anything about this set of books. I don't really have a lot to say about it because I don't really have anything nice to say. This was the dismantling I felt of basically the Tawny Man, where the whole Icefire thing is starting to be made irrelevant. It didn't need to happen because silver.
Evie?
Anyways, Dragon Keeper, please put it after Fool's Fate. I think Rainwild Chronicles there was such a low bar set for me that I was so pleasantly surprised with how much I loved Dragon Keeper. It feels like an Austen, like
Yeah.
a novel of manners, but in
Yeah.
a fantasy world, and Robin Hobb writing it. So
I want you to show me in Jane Austen where all the teenage boys are wanting to have sex with the girls, even though they've said no 50 times.
That's in the Lord of the Flies part.
again,
That's how I
with
view
Robin
it. It's like an
Hobb,
Austen with Lord of the Flies mixed.
it's a very good thing. Anyways, Pete, what's up?
I think I will put it after. Let's put it before Prince and the Piebald Prince, so after Assassin's Quest. Like Evie, I was pleasantly surprised by how much I like this. Like what Evie was saying about Brashen, like earlier, like, oh my gosh, this is I understand why people can have crushes on books. Elise is fine.
I support that take.
He has a
Elise is
crush
great.
on Elise.
Like Elise, like she's a nerd, and she like everything that she was talking about, like, oh, these are flaws. I'm like, what are you talking about? That no, stop.
You just need to find a nerd in world, and then
Yeah,
he'll love
it's,
you.
it's like they're rare or something. It's complicated. But yeah, so I definitely really liked reading this. I liked, Elise's story. The horny teens were like, but like it still was a good book, I think. I definitely have less focus on the world building after Fool's Fate, right? I didn't really like jive with the world building as much throughout the rest of the series, just because I knew that wasn't something that was planned out from the beginning as much, even though it tied some things up, arguably, depending on what you're talking about, but also, like Andrew said, it kind of like, if you think about it too hard, it's like...
Grace?
Okay. So right now, well, like Dragon Keeper is at the bottom for me, but I still quite liked it. it just doesn't equal any of the other series for me personally. Like I loved Elise, and I really enjoyed like the like that kind of romance style of writing where it has like societal commentary and it has like a little bit more humor maybe, and like I loved I like I don't know, I loved Elise, and I really enjoyed Daimara's like beginning of the story. I didn't really have problems, at least I didn't have problems in Dragon Keeper with the like sexuality of the teenagers, and like overall I didn't have a problem with that concept. I did start to get a little bit tired of repetition in that storyline, but I didn't mind like the actual romance like being approached between them. So I don't know, bit of mixed feelings, but I still like, I think I gave it like 4.25 stars, which might be my lowest rated in the series, but obviously 4.25 stars is still like a really good rating. So
I'm just going to say, for anyone that watches this after the fact, Ben, I'm going to assume this is the case for you as well. My bottom 7 does not, and Grace's and Ben's bottom 7 are not the equivalent to Andrew's bottom 7.
Oh, I would completely hack them off and bend them.
They're very different. Dragon Keeper is bottom for me as well. It's because I hate women, as was said in chat. That is.
To be fair, Elise is the best part of that of that entire series.
She is.
I'm the same. I still really enjoyed this. Like I think I gave it a 4 or 4.25 as well. But it's like, look at the books above it. You know, it's not like it's fighting like just some trash. Like it's fighting some of the best books to be written, in my opinion. So when it's bottom, it's not like, oh, this is bad. It's just like the rest are some of the best fantasy books. So of course it's bottom for me. But you know.
Okay, I love Dragon Keeper so much. It will be before Fool's Fate, maybe. See, not just
Heresy.
let me tell, maybe I don't have time to convince you this. When I have time, we'll have another chat. Maybe I'll
hold
convince
on.
you here too.
Anitha,
But
did you mean to put Fool's Fate after Fool's Errand? Did you move that?
Oh, sorry. Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay. See, there are two things. One is Bingtown culture, Bingtown marriage culture, relationship culture is very similar to the culture I grew up in. So I understand Ellie's perspective. I completely, it reminded me of so much about my thing. While growing up, it looked like both Taimara's initial beginning scenes and Ellie's beginning scenes. It felt like I'm reading the biography of someone I knew. So I connected there personally. That is number one. Number two, this point actually covers all 4 books, but as an answer to what Andrew said, that guys asking her, kept on asking her, irritating Taimara, even after saying no. If Taimara has accepted, or if Taimara has fell victim to that, I would have hated it. But Taimara, she did not get her mother's love. Her father saved her. Her father raised her. She has gone through so much. She does not want to cause that much pain and trauma to her kid. So she stood on that. She said no and no again. She was strong on that. Actually, she knows that she doesn't want it. She does not want to cause that to her own daughter or her own son. That actually that entire theme, how Hob approached it, I really liked it. That's why it takes like top for me. The themes she covered in this quartet, I loved it, and I agree with Andrew. Yes, entire Ice Fire storyline, it negated this one with the dragons and silver, and what is that big dragon Tintaglia finding a new mate here in this. I completely agree with this, but this is not top for me because of dragons, but because of the themes Hob explored.
I just want you to know, Anitha, you have far exceeded your minute of
That's why I said
allotted minute.
for this. Not talk for next 3 books. Okay, chop.
Okay, so I'm going to rapid fire the next 3. Dragonhaven goes under Dragon Keeper. City of Dragons goes over Dragonhaven.
Okay.
And then we're gonna do Blood of Dragons over Dragon Keeper. Just because I got to see the stupid villain get eaten like a dummy.
I am.
Okay.
You are meat.
Amazing.
I shall call you meat.
Okay. Everyone do this fast. This I like this one. Evie, chop chop.
So initially when I finished Dragon Haven, I was like, this is the most mid book ever, even more than Golden Fool. But the longer it's been since I finished it, the more that I think about it. So I would actually put Dragon Haven after Ship of Destiny.
Really? So real quick.
Actually, no, that's fine. Put Piebald Prince before Dragon Haven. Yeah, that's good.
This is the book
Next,
where we get.
Ship of Dragons, City of Dragons.
Oh,
Sorry.
Oh,
Pete,
go ahead, Pete.
okay. I was going to say this is the one where Rapskull starts this whole dual personality thing, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Put it at the end because I hate Rapskull.
But this also got Selden's. Selden. What is that guy's name?
Rapskull.
Selden and Relpta.
I despise
No, Carson's.
Carson and Carson and
Cedric.
Cedric. There you go.
Cedric are awesome.
Cedric.
I was like, Selden and Relpta. When did that happen?
Yeah, oh, sorry.
Yeah, Selden is like Malta's brother. I was
Yeah,
like,
I forgot. I forgot.
Even while reading it, I got confused between Selden and Cedric.
I love Cedric and Relpta. So is it still me? I'm rapping
Yes,
fire.
City of Dragons.
So City of Dragons, I would put it after Mad Ship. And then Blood of Dragons before City of Dragons. I feel like City of Dragons and Blood of Dragons are like, depending upon the day, could flip flop for me.
Okay.
So
Pete.
So yeah, Dragon Haven goes at the very end because Rapskull is just the worst, and I just he spoiled everything. Anyways, City of Dragons. Can I differentiate between City of Dragons? I'm like, no, it's not that far back. So Blood of Dragons goes above Assassin's Quest. Because I think there's a lot of things that happen in Blood of Dragons, including meat, including the destruction of Chalced, including there was like one or two other things in there. Was Malta's birth scene in City of Dragons or Blood of Dragons?
Yes,
it was
City
in
of Dragons.
City of Dragons.
Okay, put City of Dragons right after Blood of Dragons then.
Not Malta's birth scene. It is Malta giving birth. Son.
Malta giving birth, like that whole thing. Malta's perspectives in these books was amazing.
Yeah, they were awesome.
She's badass. I loved her more than Live Ships.
Yeah, City of Dragons and Blood of Dragons, like in Dragon Keeper and Dragon Haven, you're like, oh, this is fun. This is like for Robin Hobb, this is nice. And then with City of Dragons and Blood and Dragons, she reminds you, remember, I'm Robin Hobb. I will traumatize you and do like graphic and horrible things to characters. So yeah. Anyways, I'm sorry, Grace. Go ahead.
No, that's okay. I'm gonna try and make this like easy. So I want to like, so basically this whole series is below the rest of them for me. So the first one and like the highest ranked in the series is Blood of Dragons, then City of Dragons. It's the opposite. It's backwards. So like Blood of Dragons, then City of Dragons, then Dragon Haven, then Dragon Keeper.
Oh my god. This is going crazy and this is driving me crazy. Where did it go? Wait.
You just gave it to Ben.
I know. I'll Ben, start talking. I'll correct this one.
I'm gonna put Dragon Haven above after Assassin's Apprentice. Then I'm gonna put City of Dragons after Assassin's Quest. And then Blood of Dragons after Willful Princess and the Piebald Prince. I enjoyed them more and more as they went along. Like the Malta's scene in City of Dragons probably is the highlight of the entire series. Like that's what vividly comes to mind when I think about it. But I think that's the safest. That is good. I'm happy with that.
Not Hest being eaten, because that's what comes to mind for me.
That's
Yeah,
fair.
I love Hess getting eaten.
For me, the scene where Cedric
Cedric saves.
Saves Relpta,
Yeah,
and
that's
he's
another
like,
one.
you think that he's going to like kill her with the dragon trader guy, and I'm just like, no, don't do it to Relpta. And
That
I
was
literally ugh.
yeah, that was such a tense scene because you're wondering with Cedric's character up to this point what he will do. I think that's what makes it so good is you don't really know, like you know what you hope he'll do, but
And then she ends that chapter in like the cliffhanger of like he raises the thing, and so you don't know. It's like no.
Okay.
Anyway,
For me, Dragon Keeper is my favorite. I think, actually, I thought it went down gradually after that, but I checked my ratings. Evie, I said during my ranking of all books, I said City of Dragons is my favorite, but I checked my rankings. I gave City of Dragons 4.75, Dragon Haven 4.5, I think, but Blood of Dragons is my least favorite.
Okay, you guys ready for this?
Let's go.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's time for
are you
to leave,
rapid firing
Andrew.
these three too?
You got.
I
10
will give a
minutes.
couple of points on why I am placing them where I am placing them.
Okay.
Fool's Assassin is going to go over Ship of Destiny. Overall, a great book. I don't like the way that Fitz stabs the fool at the end. That felt impulsive and out of character. You can't convince me it was in his character. And then that leads up to the next book, which I am going to place. Can you scroll a little bit, Anitha? I actually have to have eyes on it. There we go. I'm going to place the next one below Madship because basically this retcons where the Isle of the Wights is from the first trilogy. There was no reason. It was supposed to be very far away, not 3 weeks walk. When we're first told about the Isle of Wights. It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to put it there. Plus, why didn't Fitz just wake up the dragons and go fly there anyway and beat them there in the first place? Didn't make any sense. He was there in the grove. He chose not to wake them up. Didn't make a lot of sense. And then the last one, I am going to place it above Assassin's Fate because it ends. I'm going to place Assassin's Fate over Fool's Quest. Mainly because I love the ending, but structurally it doesn't make sense to split Fitz away from the party the way he did. The building was on fire and he went to go get a torch. That was so stupid. And then he got split up. Also, I didn't like going back to the Pirate Isles. There was no reason to go back to the Pirate Isles. It's a wasted plot line. It's pointless.
I completely agree.
And there's my rating.
that's not as bad as I thought it was going to be, to be honest.
No, my respect.
Oh, I will never read Rainwild again. I would rather read Fitz and the Fool again.
You hurt me,
Again.
Andrew. It's okay.
Andrew hates women. So.
No, because the woman's the only thing I like about Rainwild.
He hates teenagers. Just wait. Wait.
That's
There we go.
valid, though.
Andrew.
I hate.
I can get behind the fact that I'm old, crotchety, and hate teenagers.
I'm scared of teenagers. I don't hate them.
Teenagers hate themselves.
Teenagers scare the living crap out of me.
Yeah,
A whole song about it,
that's me. Exactly.
written because he was on a bus with a bunch of crazy teenagers. Anyways,
Are you just ranking for me now? Anything?
No, I'm just putting as placeholders instead of going up and down. You can
Gotta
talk
get
about it now.
Fate confirmed.
Fool's Assassin at the top. Well, for right now, because I'm going based on like in order. Fool's Quest, I would say between City of Dragons and Golden. Between Golden Fool and Royal Assassin. Fool's Quest has the biggest glow up on reread. And then Assassin's Fate at the very top. I
agree.
I love this last trilogy so much because of
She's a great character. I just have structural issues with it.
Well,
Pete?
I have structural issues with you, Andrew.
That's fine.
Hey,
Multiple people
Andrew,
do.
this isn't like like an argument or whatever, but I like, what's with the 3-week thing? Where did the 3-week thing come from?
When the fool is first introduced and he's telling his story, he mentions it's across the sea and it's so far away and you almost died. Now, granted, I'm going off of memory, but like the Isle of Wights is supposed to be basically unreachable, and then you get to Chalced and it's like right across the pond. Like that's not that far.
He's able to like walk. Well, no,
Yeah.
he had to take the.
I have a counter argument.
I got the impression it was still far away. Maybe I missed something.
It's really
Yeah.
not that far.
Well,
No,
It's
it
still
is
on.
far.
It's still on the map.
I just got the impression that it's very far away from their perspective because it's beyond their maps.
yeah. My argument is that the fool is a child at the time, and the child views the world very differently. I think that's like in my perspective, that's the whole point.
But
is
the
that,
fool's not a child because we learn that they age slower than
Well,
normal people. So
yeah, but the
probably
fool still
15,
left
20
the
years
White's
old.
Island as a child. So like that journey, they've never made it again. So from their perspective, they're like, man, it felt like it took forever, and I felt like all this stuff happened. But when he does it again as an adult, it's like, oh shit, that was 3 weeks. That did not take as long as I thought it was going to. Like, I feel like that's a very natural thing as a child.
That's fair. That's an extrapolation that you, the reader, is making. That is not what
Yes.
is conveyed in the text.
Yeah, that's fair. I feel like that. Yeah, that's very much my extrapolation. Yeah.
So if I could also add, another reason why I love, why I put Assassin's Fate at the very top is not just the Andrew, before you jump in and yell at me.
He's only got 4 minutes to jump in, so it's okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I have to leave in 4 minutes.
The closure that we get, yes, I can see that people might see that as fan service, but I feel it as closure for Fitz as a character and Fitz in the world. And then on top of that, Paragon turning into dragons. Like, again, I didn't think I could love Paragon even more after the Liveship Traders trilogy, and he still had believable and not believable. He still had more to his story that felt believable and it didn't feel overextended. If that makes sense.
Okay. I felt the silver felt like a MacGuffin.
You're a MacGuffin.
I am.
Pete, go ahead. I need to see Andrew my ranking.
All right. Cool.
So, fast.
So Fool's Assassin is going after Dragon Keeper. Fool's Quest is going right behind Assassin's Quest. And Assassin's Fate is staying right where it is.
Wait, where is your Assassin's Quest? Okay.
Right after
Assassin's Fate?
So,
Assassin's Fate stays right there?
yeah, it's staying right there.
I hate you, Pete.
I love you, Pete.
I love you, Pete.
No. So I'm gonna clarify why. All right, and this is
Because you hate us.
No, this is Robin Hobb hurt me in no way. My issue was with Paragon's story, with the Liveship story. I agree, it is amazing that Paragon got turned into a dragon, but the narrative structure around it made me feel so distant from it that I was physically hurt that I could not be there with the characters in Liveships. Because Fitz was so just like, oh my gosh, I hate these people. Oh my gosh, I don't like these people. I'm so suspicious. I'm so distant. I don't know what's going on. Like, that affected my enjoyment of those plot lines. I would have rather had like a 5th Dragon Rainwilds book where we do this, because then we could have more perspectives. We could be there with Brash and Althea dealing with their kids' death. We could be there with Paragon actually doing these things instead of being so gosh darn distant from it that I felt like I was a stranger to these characters that I loved all the way back in Liveships. Like, that is why it is at the bottom, because Robin Hobb slapped this on there and did a disservice to Paragon and did a disservice to the rest of them. So that's
Counter argument. This is Fitz's trilogy from Fitz's
understand
perspective.
that.
So
Counter argument. No, it's not. It's B's trilogy.
Exactly.
Well, technically
Thank
it's
you,
both,
Andrew.
but
It's my trilogy. Oh,
All right, guys, I got to drop.
Hey, Andrew.
Hi, Andrew.
Okay. Catch the rest later. My
I will.
arguments later. Bye.
love you,
We'll
love
talk.
you, love you.
Thank you for joining. Okay, we can take our time now. Grace,
Okay.
Now
take all.
that he's gone,
Okay, this is I've just had this like brain fart where oh no, it's back. I was gonna say I forgot what happened in Fool's Quest, but it's back, I remember. So it was just like it was listening to everybody talk about Assassin's Fate and thinking, where did Assassin's Fate start exactly? But it's back. Fool's Assassin is going to the top. Fool's Quest. This is difficult because the final trilogy as a whole, like I feel just like based on the nature of a series like this, the final trilogy as a whole is just so emotionally charged based on everything that came before it. So I think maybe Fool's Quest is between Fool's Errand and Ship of Magic. And then Fool's Assassin is below Ship of Magic, maybe.
Assassin's Fate.
Sorry, yeah, I don't even know what I just said. These last three books, I had a lot of trouble with the names of them. Even as we were reading them, I couldn't remember the names of them. But I just feel like Fool's Assassin was basically a perfect book. Like everything that happened with Molly, and it had that same feeling as Fool's Errand of getting back into Fitz's life. Like I loved all of that, but then it was absolutely heartbreaking what happened with Molly. And Ben and I were talking about this recently, actually, about how the whole storyline with her pregnancy is so believable in world because like it just like combines everything so perfectly in the sense that like you as the reader and Fitz as her husband don't want to believe that like she's deteriorating, and so it's really easy to not believe her about this as well because it absolutely seems impossible. But then there's an in-world explanation for what she has like given birth to, what her daughter is, and why it took so long, and the fact that like Molly was actually right. Like all of it is so like heartbreaking. And Fool's Assassin, I just have the memory of like it being so easy to read in the sense of just like never even feeling like pages were passing because I was so immersed. And then Fool's Quest, I don't know, Fool's Quest and Assassin's Fate, like I love the way that it went, but I feel like they just don't quite live up to the first one. Like the trilogy, like it took like just the slightest step down with each book, like literally the slightest, because they're all 5 stars, and I loved all of them. And I don't know, I could keep talking forever, so I'm just gonna stop and see what he has to say.
Fool's Assassin goes second for me. I cried when Molly died. I just sat there and blubbered. It was like the switch to B's perspective for that death was an example of, because I think a lot of people, the same way I think that Pete, you described that the distance to the character, I think I could imagine people feeling that way about the fact that we switch away from Fitz for that moment. But for me, I feel like that was such a perfect hopping on point in terms of hobbing on point. It was such a it broke me. Like everything about it broke me. Fool's Quest goes, let me check my list. After Fool's Errand, please. Because
Wait, did
it
you
also,
prepare for this?
I was at work and I put a list together to make sure that I changed it so much.
You put it in
including
Discord,
this.
and every like 2 minutes it would be like, oh, this message has been edited, and things were just like moving.
I changed it infinitely, including during this. I was like, actually. Yeah, Fool's Quest goes there. It's a banger. It's really good. One thing that I love, and I can imagine that people, well, as it's been described, I love how dissatisfying a lot of the stuff in this trilogy is. Like it's like purposely done. Like the relationship between Fitz and the Fool, how strained it is, how much like we've been so protective over these characters, and watching them like be the victims of a crime to their child, and watching their relationship completely disintegrate is so, it's just fascinating, and like heartbreaking and understandable. And I think it just creates such a, I think the same with Paragon and everything, there's such a cause of separation that for me it was like, I don't know how to describe it. It's how I imagine. I think it's a way of showing how everyone else in this world views the events that are happening. Like the same way that we look at some, like we can look at footage of war on the TV and just be so separate to it. Even if we were there, we wouldn't have that familial, that connection to it. Whereas like when you're in it, and I think the way that that's explored is fantastic. And I don't know. I think the issue is that it's exactly what Andrew said, where I extrapolated a lot. I feel like this entire series is me extrapolating my own emotions from it that aren't written. I'm just like, this is how I'm taking this, and I just do it. Assassin's Fate goes after Madship, please, because I cannot stress to you that I cried for the last about 100 pages, like non-stop cried for the entire 100 pages, because I like Grace and I read it, of course, at the same time, and I pretty much said, like, I think I put in a message like everything that I thought was going to happen is exactly what happened, and it just, like, the realization that we're getting there and it's going to happen just completely, it was amazing. And the fact that we now, like, in my head, I was always like, when is Fitz writing this? Because he's always burning his stuff. Like, where do we get this? And now that we know that B has written his words, and that all of the books we've read are the will and testament, essentially, the chronicling of a daughter writing his family member's life, is such a beautiful sentiment. And I think it just elevates everything. And the end, when Ketrican is goddamn riding through that forest, and they all hear the noise, and they're like, what is that? And it's just Ketrican smiling, and it ends there. God damn, it's good. Banger.
Banger of bangers.
I feel like
She
give
gets
us
off
up
the
now, but then I feel like I'm disrespecting these other books.
I dare say anything in the top like 8 could flip around day to day.
Yeah.
Honestly, for me, anything from Royal Assassin upwards could flip around depending on how I feel. Like, they all are some of the best.
I think for me as well. Yeah.
Before I get into my final thoughts about the trilogy, what's your ranking, Anita?
I can't decide. From past 2 weeks, I was trying to film my Fizz and Full spoiler-free review. It was so difficult. It's so difficult. Okay, Fool's Assassin, first 300-350 pages, I liked as much as Fool's Errand, same as that. Oh my god, I could have continued reading, that dynamic between Fizz and B, and oh my god, Molly's death, I can't even talk about it. That was such a, nobody can write grief better than Hop, actually. She did such a great job there, giving us Fizz's perspective, B's perspective. I loved till then, but the last quarter of Fool's Assassin, my frustration started there, and it continued with Fool's Quest. I did not like Fizz leaving B, not just at the end. Even when Shade asked him to come to some pub, he leaves B alone in the house. I hated Shade. We did not talk about that. I hated him in Tawny Man. I continue to hate him in this trilogy. The way he used Fizz for everything. He talked about how dangerous it would be for Shine and Land, but he did not give the same importance to B. Oh my god, I hated that. I can't tell you how much I hated that.
Shade's not a
And
good guy.
No,
yeah,
but she
but
still got me with Chade's boy cry. That still
yes,
broke me.
about to
That's
say
the
that.
worst thing
For
about it.
me, though, that's more about Fitz than it is.
Exactly. That's what I mean. Oh my god, Fitz loved that arsehole.
You took words right out of my mouth when I was about to say that I did not care for him. I did not care about his death particularly, but with that, just those were Shade's boy cried. I wept actually with his. I mean, she's so good with grief. I I hated that. Even when Shade was talking about saving or protecting Shine and Land, he did not care about B. And Fizz was angry actually, but he did not uh, care, or he did not talk back to Shade. I understand actually. Shade kind of rises Fizz. He respects him a lot, but he does not go against Shade for anything. I like that Netil and Nacheska, Elania don't care about what Shade wants. They went on and did what they want, and they went on and declare Netil as Fizz's daughter, and announced to public as Fizz is the Farseer. If Shade has control, it wouldn't have happened actually. Why am I talking about that right now? Oh, anyway. So the last quarter in Fool's Assassin, like we can see that those people are coming for B, and Fizz is making a mess, and obviously Fizz can't see that why B is like that. We can clearly see, and the first part in Fool's Quest actually, we see what happened in with the woods, right? Okay, we know what happened, but Fizz was shopping there. He was enjoying balls. I i was so frustrated. I can't tell you how frustrated I was. So angry, and there is no need for sexual assault there. Not at all required. While pillaging and murdering was going on, I did not like how added that, especially with the kid. Not at all required. And I did not like the. Okay, I'm going ahead and say it. Hob is horrible at writing sexual assault episodes. I did not like them at all because I did not like the victims she chose. Like in first book, that kid was actually bullied to um, B. She did not. She bullied B, and Shine was vain. Hob was like, okay, this kid bullied B. I will punish her by, you know, making her to go through this episode. It looked like that. I did not like that at all. Even in at the end, I think last book, when they through that pillar, when they go from that
From
what was that
the woods area to
uh
their Chelsea city capital.
Chelsea, they were in like close packed quarters, and that guy, I don't think we can call it rape, but the
Just
Chalcedian guy behaved.
grinding up on her. Yeah.
Yeah, see, see that girl actually, she left her friend. So again, it's as if she's punishing the girl for that. At the same time, she wrote it as a comical way. I laughed actually, and I hated myself for laughing at it. I almost laughed actually. I was like, then restricted myself. Okay, don't laugh. That girl is going through trauma. I hated the way she wrote it, and I hated the way she chose victims for their sexual assault, as if to punish those girls who behaved that way. Okay, then, and I agree with Andrew about that Pirate Isles arc is not required. And okay, one more thing. In Tawny Man, even in this trilogy, it's the fool's purpose is like bring back dragons. But in the I liked the dragons actually. I understood the purpose and concept of it in Rain Wilds. But in this trilogy, I was like, what is the point of bringing back dragons? What they're doing is just killing humans, you know. And they were not even helping the children of Rainwild people after everything they have gone through to provide home for dragons. Why should we bring them back? That's how I felt. I know it is selfish. It is like, we have to bring them back only if there is use. It sounds like that, I understand. But I did not like dragons as well. I was like, what is the whole point of bringing them back only to kill humans? They're not doing anything. Yes, Tindaglia helped at the end by destroying Clarice. I and
I have a little thing in regards to that, possibly, because I don't
Yes,
think
Ben? Yes. Raise your hand.
You there?
I,
you there on the left?
I don't. I think the final trilogy does a lot to question how right it is to even have a white prophet, and whether the fool is right to bring back the dragons or anything, or whether he is still some way entwined and manipulated in terms of where he ends up. Because I view the dragons as like nuclear weapons. I view the fool as Oppenheimer, essentially, like the Manhattan Project. I view him as someone who feels that because it can, there's a necessity to create the if it's there, it should exist. And if it's possible, then it should exist and it should come back. And to me, I view it as like they've created mutually assured destruction. If every nation has a dragon, then no one can possibly attack each other. And I view the because some of the scenes in this final trilogy, actually, of the pure, because I felt it in Chelsea, like in the previous trilogy, but the utter decimation and genocide of the race is so dark and so messed up. And I found myself turning against my protagonists because they are completely absorbed and enraptured with genocide. Like, it's really messed up. And but I think that's also the point. I don't think she's telling us that that's good. In my opinion, quite often when terrible things happen, Hob is telling us because they're our protagonists, but that also the same way with the disconnectedness in terms of viewing like Paragon, etc. in that book. I think there's a lot where it's like, if you view this from any other side, you would not feel like you're the good people. And I think there's a sense of that for the audience. It's kind of pointing at the audience and being like, just think about it. I don't know. That's kind of how I view.
I think one of the
I go ahead.
I think one of the interesting things as well is that they don't necessarily even feel good about it either. Like, they question whether it's necessary, but it's like the strength of personal emotion and like the strength of personal vendetta overriding everything else, because like they question whether they should do it, but then they come to the conclusion that they can't not do it. Like, rather, I mean, they amount to the same thing. Like, it's not an excuse, but I feel like it's more of the fact that they don't feel like they can let Clary survive than the fact that they actually want to like raise it to the ground, which doesn't make it any better. But it's like, that's why it's your protagonist that you're following, is because you're following their personal motivations, whether those are good or noble or not.
Yeah, because I view it in because we get to see Chalced for the first time. Like, we're in it, and it's a refugee site. Like, it is a place that's been decimated in this war, and these are just normal people walking around. And we like the way we view Chalced as abhorrid. We've got like homophobia, misogyny, and all the cultures that we love in this series. And so seeing Chalced as we're watching our characters go to do this, and seeing these people that have been victims of a horrific attack, really like reshaped how I viewed everything. And I think that's like, I think she implants that image for when we get to Clary's. And most of the people are just normal people who believe in a religion, who are going to do their worship, and they don't know anything about what's going on. They are just living their lives, trading, and believe in their gods, like their prophets. And they don't know they're being manipulated. They don't know that that's happening to them. And I think completely gone off what Anita was saying. My apologies, but I love that aspect of the books. Honestly, like that trilogy does a great job to me in recontextualizing everything that came before.
So I
I'm
see
done
your
with
ring.
Evie, 1 minute, just 1 minute. I thought Anita Gade Philcroft and Anita Gade Philcroft. I was like, Streamy had corrected my spelling. Then I realized it was
No,
you.
that was me. So I see your ranking, Anita, but before you kind of get into that, I just wanted to kind of expand upon my thoughts because I feel like I was rushing myself with Andrew. But so the Fitz in the Fool trilogy really made me, I'll just say it, made me hate the Fool.
Yes.
And you see him from, I don't want to say you see his true colors, but you see a different side of him where I can see the Fool has lost his, he himself has been traumatized because he's been, tortured by the Claris folks, and so he's been traumatized. He's been tortured. He's lost his confidence in himself as a white prophet. He is questioning his own existence as a white prophet because technically he already brought what he thought was his whole purpose to life, but he's still alive even though he was supposed to die. So he's very directionless in that regard, and I think that makes his actions, what he does in Fitz and the Fool, that much more frustrating because I recognize that he feels directionless and he's trying to make purpose of himself, like for himself, after he's already fulfilled his quote unquote purpose. But with that said, B and Fitz and their arcs, and obviously Paragon, like I think it all is just, I don't know. I think it's a really satisfying ending to the entire series, and it was at this point that I felt content with the entire series, and there was no other way for Fitz's story to end than how it ended.
Okay. See, Grace, do you want to say something?
No, I was just agreeing with Evie about the end of Fitz's story.
Okay. See, I love B. I mean, we traveled with Fizz for more than 6 books actually. But B just came in and Hob gave such a strong voice to her. We loved B. At least I loved B as much as I loved Fizz. I loved B, and yes, there are some great character arcs, character interactions. Character interactions is where Rob shined, and those are good actually. And though I kept it last, only Ship of Destiny is 2 stars. Everything else is like more than 4 stars for me. So even Assassin's Fate. But and I agree about the ending, though I did not like that after everything Fizz has gone through from the first book, that Hob gave such a sad death to him instead of like happy retiring. But I mean that eating parasites eating him from inside is such a horrifying death. Even enemies shouldn't go through that, but she gave that to Fizz. I hated that part, but I understand the ending and I am okay with that ending. And as Ben said, I cried a lot in that big Voxer group. You can hear my Voxer messages with crying. And as Evie said, I hated Fool. Whatever, I mean, we can see that he used Fizz even from the beginning, from the Farseer trilogy, but it wasn't against our interests then. That's why maybe we did not hate Fool then. But right now, see, it's like in school, as a kids, we have one best friend. After 20, 30 years, we meet them back in a reunion. They went in a different path, we went in a different path, our priorities changed. So sometimes we can't gel back with that person. At that time, it's important to let go of that bond, to for our own sake actually. Here, Fitz's priority changed. He has family, he has B. Fool's priority is completely different. He has to take revenge on Clarice, and that is completely understandable. He has gone through the trauma. Here, being together harm them actually. Now Fizz doesn't have a chance to raise B. Actually, he lost that. He going with, of course, they kidnapped B. That's why he had to go. But even they had, if even if B wasn't involved, Fizz would have gone to help Fool to Clarice actually. So that even I mean, when their priorities are different, holding on to that friendship only brought their destruction. That is big lesson actually, very important. And I hated obviously Fool, but at the end, I mean, I wasn't unsatisfied. I'm okay with how it ended actually. I wanted to say something, now I can't. I forgot. Somebody else take over.
I was going to say that I think I more pity the Fool than
You
hate.
pity the fool, as in Mr. T.
Yeah. I think the Fool doesn't phone home, as they say in The Simpsons. I pity the Fool because I think it's another example of Hobb opening up or paralleling and then allowing the reader to acknowledge those parallels, because the Fool goes through exactly what Fitz has gone through, but the Fool does it with absolutely no support from anyone, because the Fool is tortured the same way that Fitz was. Fitz is guided back from that. He has the support of people to bring him back. And I think, like, Fitz has found family, etc. Like, after him and the Fool like leave, because the Fool, like, from the Fool's perspective, he believes that he has to leave. Like, from his perspective, he is leaving his love. He is doing what Fitz had to do to Molly. In his perspective, he has to leave that love, and he's leaving his child unwittingly, which is the same that Fitz has to do. So we've got like, I think they are the same, and to see Fitz be so callous, I think there's a way to. I think it's another example of when you, like, I view both of them as doing wrong. And I do find the Fool extremely frustrating in that trilogy. And I do think that's on purpose. Like I said, I think it's the disintegration of a relationship because of something so traumatic happening to their child. And I think that's a brilliant narrative. But yeah, I do feel a sense of the Fool does get dirty because we're having it told from Fitz's perspective. And I think that's why I enjoyed the ending when they like, that's why the ending is so beautiful. It's because it's the acknowledgement that Fitz is the one that hasn't allowed this. The entire time they are meant to be together, and it is Fitz, and it's Fitz's mind, it's his society, it's everything about him is the only thing that doesn't allow what he wants. And that comes down to not allowing Ketrican because he has shared things with Night Eyes. I know there's the idea that he has feelings for Ketrican because of Night Eyes. I personally think that Night Eyes has feelings for Ketrican because Fitz does. I think Fitz is in love with Ketrican. I think he's in love with the Fool. And at the end,
Molly.
yes. And I think at the end, he gets to have all of those things because he finally allows himself to, rather than worrying about what people will think about him. And I think that's what's so beautiful about the ending.
So my perception of the ending is that he has given so much of himself into his wolf that he doesn't even have the power to like allow himself to do anything other than that. And it is B's line to the Fool saying he always wanted you. And she's lying because Fitz is just saying, ever since B came into being, his priority has been B, even though it doesn't seem like it on page. And he's done some stupid things, as Fitz is prone to do throughout this entire series. His priority has always been his daughter. And it's B is the one that has to is telling the Fool he's always wanted you more than me. And that broke my heart. Like, and then knowing that she lied. And I think it was Ketrican that said, that was a good lie that you told or whatever. And she's like, so.
Yeah.
But,
Oh, that's another thing.
I-
Parasites.
I-
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Ben. It's okay.
I was going to say parasites. That's another, I think, visual metaphor in terms of he is being eaten from the inside, as in like all of this trauma and all of the pain that's inside of him, the things that he's repressed are eating him, and he has to basically strip away all of that to allow the kind of what he wants to come out. I think it's like a visual metaphor of him having to destroy
Oh my
himself.
God. Oh my God.
Pete's gone to the dark
What?
side.
I did not think of it like that. That's such a new perspective to me.
I have a
Wow.
thought that I never thought of before now. In terms of, because I've always believed that Fitz has had like special relationships and love for Molly, Ketchikan, and the Fool. I feel like the fact that like obviously eventually he was able to be with Molly, so kind of supports my thought that like they kind of represent like three paths that he could have taken, like three like lives that he could have lived, because I feel like Fitz in the first trilogy has this very interesting and like precarious social position, being a bastard. Like obviously different people view him different ways. They either view him as a threat or like whatever, they're protecting him. Like he's not obviously acknowledged, but first trilogy he kind of like he thinks that him and Molly can be together, and then he realizes that like maybe because of his position they can't. I feel like if he was a legitimate son, his life path could have taken him to like be able to be with Ketchikan. And I feel like if he grew up in a different like society and he had a relationship with the, well, like a friendship with the Fool from childhood, then they could have developed into something different if like societal expectations were something different, and he could have just been whoever he wanted to be. That's just a thought.
that is a great point.
I just want to read one quote actually that broke me. I mean, entire last 100 pages were superb actually. But one quote, when he was talking to Nettle, I think about Riddle. I would ask my old friend Riddle as well, but he is a wiser man than I and has remained with his daughter to watch over her. Would that I had done so? Not once but twice over. I felt the decision was not mine, but I now take responsibility for it. My daughters, I'm sorry. I should have stayed with both of you.
Yeah.
His relationship with Nettle was an amazing thing in the final trilogy
Yeah.
as well.
It really was.
I loved Nettle actually.
Yeah.
I mean both Molly and Nettle are such great characters. Molly is such a great mother actually. Hobb wrote some fantastic character work even this last trilogy. As well. I only mostly talk about negative, so people think I did not like it. But all three books are like 4 stars and above. Yes, I have criticisms, but I also loved Hobb's character work and character interactions. Fantastic.
Also,
All right, before-
being thick.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Being thick. I love them two together.
Yeah.
Being thick. And sorry, I have more parallels. My apologies. I have more parallels. I forgot. Vindalaya and Thick, two people who clearly have the same abilities. They have the same abilities to impress thoughts onto people, and the difference between like it's nature versus nurture. It's how they've raised, how that one's abused, one is abused and frightened, and then eventually brought to a place of understanding and safety. And the way that we have Vindalaya at the end, and then counterparting that with Nettle sat, not Nettle, with Thick sat with me, telling these stories and everything and explaining everything.
Teaching her music. Teaching her the
Yeah,
music.
that was exquisite, and also perfectly makes sense because she's been putting up such massive walls, so it will make sense plot wise as well. But just them two together, that like it was the first time that B felt a connection with someone since Molly, and I think it's so beautiful that it was Thick who she had it with, and like a sense of safety. It all of the parallels. That's what was so good about it. I think that's with so many trilogies, it just layers and layers, and it's like a real good lasagna.
Also, a quick shout out to new characters Spark and Perseverance. I loved them. They're such a great addition.
I was gonna say before, because Pete has been strangely quiet. I just wanted to shout out how much I would kill for Perseverance.
Yes.
Almost as much for B. And Perseverance needs to be protected at all costs. And I love his relation. I love him individually, and I love how devoted he is to B. And Fitz is like, no, don't go. He's like, sorry, I already, promised myself to B. I already gave my allegiances to B. She's over you. Sorry, dude. So
I love that.
Yeah, it was great.
Actually, I mean, okay, I have to give Cobb credit here for making me like Lantern Shine by the end.
Yeah. That's fair.
I hated Lant in the first book, especially the way he treated B.
Yeah. The last scene, or one of the last scenes, but the last scene between B and Shine. Fantastic. I love that.
Yeah.
How she uses her claws.
Yeah. They became allies.
Yeah.
That was good.
Anyways, Pete, your thoughts. You've been quiet.
Sorry, I'm like, you know how Anita had to recover from her rant? I had to recover from mine a little bit. I think there are a lot of great things in this series. And Derry took what my thought was going to be. I was going to say that Per does have a really good parallel to Fitz from the early days. And I think I would say it's more with Fitz and Burrick. I think there's a little bit of parallel there because Burrick also did the same thing where he pledged, I don't know how early it was, he pledged himself to chivalry. But Per had that Burrick stubborn streak, I felt like, with everything. And that was really nice to see. And what was that?
He persevered, you might even say. Sorry.
Yeah. But he, like, the moment it was, I can't remember the exact details of the moment, but I was like, yeah, Per. But right before for Fitz's fake out death, and they were rushing down there, and Per was like, I'm going to stay with you, Fitz. That was also because he stayed with him in that one moment, or no?
Yeah. It was something about like he mentioned to be like she already has like Lant to protect her or something like that. I can't remember, but yeah, I know what scene you're talking about.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, Anita.
I want to say one thing before I forget that. I'm scared I forget it. I was watching, I don't even remember which channel it was. Some discussion on final trilogy after I finished this. So one of the comments was, I don't even remember who said that comment. For final quest, final journey, along with Feds, 3 people went. 1 assassin's apprentice, 1 royal bastard, 1 stable boy. I was like, oh my god! My mind was blown actually. That is so true.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that at all. That is fantastic.
Wait, what? Sorry, hold on. My husband came in. What was it? Stable boy? I just heard the last end of it.
Final journey of his, 3 people went with him. 1 royal bastard, 1 stable boy, 1 assassin's apprentice.
Fitz.
It's a banger.
I mean, technically, isn't it 2 assassin's apprentices and 2 royal bastards? Wait, no, Shine was already. Never mind, ignore me.
Huh.
Yeah, that's a banger. I hadn't thought about that.
That's crazy.
Shout out to that commenter. May they live in happiness.
Yeah. The opening epigraph Assassin's Apprentice talks about naming and the fixing of those aspects to the characters. How true or false would you say that held? I don't even remember the opening epigraph of Assassin's Apprentice, Derry.
Yeah,
they're talking about Shrewd and the
I
history of
think
the
it was a
Six
fairly. I definitely think she used the aspects of each character that they were named after. Like, obviously, the characters, because it's Hob, were like well fleshed out people. Like, they weren't just one trait. But I do feel like she's at least somewhat held to that.
I think it was either or, because like we have to remember Regal was the opposite of his name.
But like, I
Yeah.
also feel like regal can be interpreted in two ways, because somebody can like look regal, but be like being. I don't know. Maybe I need to look up the definition of regal. I always felt like it was like maybe he acts that way because he like thinks that he's being that, and then he looks down upon like the people that he doesn't think are worthy of his regard.
So maybe the question is,
Fizz has a naming thing. Does Fizz have any naming? No, right?
Well,
No,
Fitz
he-
means bastard, but it would be Fitz chivalry, right?
Yeah.
Right. Which is bastard of chivalry.
Yeah.
But I don't think he was named in the Six Duchies sense of like going through the fire and was it going through the fire, getting earth and water?
Yeah.
Like those three things were elements as part of the naming ceremony.
Yeah, I mean, he's just I think that Fitz is that Fitz doesn't have a name. Like he is simply just
The
a
bastard.
of chivalry.
yeah. He's just a conduit, like an empty conduit in which actions are placed upon him. Essentially, like he's a blank canvas for the like narrative to go on. I'm real happy with my
definition of regal.
Oh yeah, what is it?
It says of resembling or fit for a monarch, especially in being magnificent or dignified. Well, I wouldn't exactly say that regal was like dignified,
Yeah, I'd say it's the opposite.
but the rest of it, there's kind of what I was picturing, where I'm like, he would care a lot about like appearances.
Mm-hmm. At the same time, a lot of it was, I felt like an act, like the actual act of, like it was more of an act of being regal more than anything. Like, yeah, he talked about appearances, but it was very much just like, I felt like that was something that he was internally spoiled unless he tried, and he felt like he had to act a certain way in order to maintain appearances.
Evie has to drop, and we're also going from past more than 2.5 hours. Maybe.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts?
My final thought is I want the August Farseer novella. I want
the what?
I want
sad.
a novella about August.
The one that got
burned.
Oh
be
yeah. I forgot about him.
I feel like we get so much little tidbits about it, but I want that full in depth sucker. But and also, can we stress the fact that she's writing? She's writing more Realm of the Elderlings right this second. Yeah.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
I want more patience. Any novella with patience. Maybe patience rising the Molly
I love patience so much.
I want more Ketrican.
Terry, I'm so sorry. I should have messaged you. I wanted to message you yesterday, but apparently this is today, and I forgot that. And I thought I thought it was tomorrow, so I prepared to do all the work and sending messages to everyone tonight. These people, luckily Ben had a question, so he asked that question at 1:00 today. That reminded me, otherwise I would have missed my own live show.
It's okay, we got it done.
I was just chilling out, relaxed, and then Andrew called me. I'm like, oh, it's probably an accident, like all Discords are. And then Discord calls are. And then it kept going. I'm like, is he calling me for a legitimate reason? What is it? He's like,
we're doing a live show in 3 minutes.
3 minutes.
Well, Joanna, I wanted to post that message in council room. I need to. Joanna said that I am becoming more and more like Alan. This is the big indication for getting my own live show.
Hinting.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Well, I'm satisfied. I love all of these books. So
yeah,
I've already reread Fitz and the Fool after finishing it because that was the one I was most excited to reread, and I can't wait to reread it again already. So, I mean, the entire series, obviously, but Fitz and the Fool specifically, like, I love it so much. But thank you guys.
Yes.
It was wonderful to experience this series with you guys.
And
You can
I
say
mean,
that now,
quick shout out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Quick shout out to everyone who stood by me, Evie, Pete, Derry. I had like severe emotional episodes when I finished the Ship of Destiny. They stood by me. They listened to all my rants. They understood me, and they held my hands. So thank you for all of them. And Ben and Grace, I loved your perspectives. It's surprising to me that we did not discuss any books. I should include you in more discussions because I loved hearing your perspectives. That's such a, I mean, you opened my eyes actually with so many of your arguments, such a fresh perspective, which I did not consider actually.
So what needs to happen is we need to have a whole nother live stream discussion where Ben just like lists out all his parallels and he tells us all the parallels.
Yes.
Absolutely. And it will parallel with this live stream.
Yeah, I mean, one final Fizz and one final Realm of Elderlings session
In
before closing
2027,
out.
after we've all reread the whole series.
Yeah. This was a lot of fun, though. Thank you for having us.
Yeah,
because,
thank you so much,
I
Anita,
really
for
enjoyed it.
organizing.
Any excuse to talk about this series for as long as possible.
Thank you for joining. Actually, I will move my ranking upwards because Andrew has rain whales at the end. I won't accept it. I'll move mine up and I'll save it in Discord or Twitter actually, if anyone wants to look at it. Sorry, Evie, for keeping you. Aaron is waiting for you. Okay, I think he came
You have another.
twice.
Oh, never mind. Sorry. I thought
No,
you
no,
meant
it's my husband, Aaron.
Okay. I misheard. Sorry.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Let me end the stream. Bye, everyone. Thank you for joining.